Hello, baseball, and enjoy the game.
Los Angeles Angels baseball, brought to you by the brewers of Light-Hearted Falstaff. Light, refreshing Falstaff beer, coast to coast, America's choice for light-hearted living. By the top-selling coffee in the West, the one coffee that's mountain-grown for deep, pure flavor. And fans, when I say coffee, I mean Folgers. And by Viceroy, the only cigarette with the famous deep weave filter and exclusive deep cured blend. Viceroy's got it at both ends. Got the filter, got the blend.
61 is the baseball battle cry in Baltimore. It has been done in 61 is the proud statement of sports fans in Los Angeles. On this historic date of April the 11th in the year 1961, the city of the Angels adds strength to its claim as the sports capital of the world. Baseball players whose uniforms are lettered Los Angeles play their first championship game in the American League. Good morning, everybody. This is Bob Kelly, who, along with Don Wells and Steve Bailey, will radio broadcast all and telecast many of the Los Angeles Angels American League games. Today, the Angels open the 1961 season here in Baltimore's Municipal Stadium against the Baltimore Orioles. The Orioles today have the old hometown decked out in all manner of bunting and banners, exhorting last year's second-place birds to do themselves one better this season. Fan response here in Baltimore is somewhat reminiscent of the fan support the football Baltimore Colts receive at this very same stadium. And I'm sure that you Ram fans who have watched Ram Colt games here on television are well familiar with what some of us have called the world's only outdoor insane asylum. This town is really for the birds. Thousands of bumper stickers printed in English, Polish, Italian, Hebrew, and Russian have been reminding the populace for weeks that it can be done in 61. A downtown tattoo artist reported making a more permanent record of the slogan on a man's chest. If the Orioles fail to do it in 61, it will go down as a permanent typographical error. The managers Bill Rigney of the Angels and Paul Richards of the Orioles are meeting with the umpires at home plate. The umpires will be Stevens behind the plate, Laurinat at first base, Wright at second, and Schwartz at third. And now the lineups and the batting orders for this afternoon's ball game. For the Los Angeles Angels, Eddie Yost at third base leads off. Yost, who batted .260 last season. Ken Aspromonte at second base. He was Cleveland's regular second baseman last season and batted .288 for the time. Albie Pearson in right field. His last year's batting average, .244. Ted Kluszewski, drafted from the Chicago White Sox, where he hit .293 last year. Big Blue playing first base and batting cleanup for the Angels. Bob Serve of the New York Yankees, where he batted .253 last season, will be in left field and bat fifth. That is somewhat of a deviation from the Angels' batting order during the spring exhibition games, where Serve in every game that he played, and he started most of them, batted in the number 3 spot. He bats fifth today. Ken Hunt, drafted from the New York Yankees in center field, followed by Fitzy Brickell, whom the Angels acquired just last week in a trade with the Yankees, returning them pitcher Duke Laws. For Brickell will be at shortstop. Fitzy staying here and playing today, despite the fact that just 2 nights ago, his father, Fritz Brickell Sr., a former big league ball player, died suddenly of a heart attack. Del Wright catching, and the veteran major leaguer will bat 8th. And the starting pitcher, the ex-New York Yankee, Eli Gribba, a right-hander. For Baltimore, Jackie Brandt in center field leads off. He hit .254 last season. He'll be followed by Russ Snyder in right field. Snyder, who hit .260 for Kansas City. Brooks Robinson, perhaps the classiest fielding third baseman of the game today. At third. And there go the Orioles taking the field. After Robinson on Jim Dunn, he was first. Gus Triando, catching. Gene Stevens at left field. Ron Hansen, shortstop. Marv Brady, second base, and right-hander Bill Pappas, the 15-game winner last season, will be Baltimore's starting pitcher. So again, welcome to the opening game of Angels baseball, coming your way with the best wishes of America's premium quality beer, Falstaff. The light, refreshing beer that brings you Los Angeles Angels baseball all through the season. So follow baseball with us for the lighthearted fun of it. And enjoy a good cold Falstaff for the lighthearted flavor of it. Brisk as a lively breeze like we have here today. Racing is cool mountain air. That lighthearted Falstaff flavor is positively, definitely, uniquely premium quality. So enjoy light, refreshing Falstaff today.
There's light-hearted living in light-hearted Falstaff. Light, refreshing Falstaff beer where America plays. The name you hear, light, refreshing Falstaff beer. There's light-hearted living in light-hearted Falstaff, America's premium quality beer.
This broadcast is authorized under broadcasting rights granted by the Los Angeles Angels Baseball Club solely for the entertainment of our listening audience. Any publication, rebroadcast, or other use of the descriptions and accounts of this game without the written permission of the Los Angeles Angels is prohibited. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure indeed to bring in my broadcasting colleague on all the Angel broadcasts and telecasts this year, a fellow who returns to his native California after distinguishing himself as a broadcaster for the White Sox the last 8 seasons. Don Wells and Don, on behalf of all of us, lots of good luck to you.
Well, the same to you, Cal, and to Steve, and let's get things underway in a successful way today here at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore as Eddie Yo steps in against the Baltimore right-hander, Milt Pappas. The weather picture today, it's a partly cloudy day. We have a terrific wind blowing in from the left field corner toward right. The wind-up, the first pitch of the season, and it's a strike right down the middle. Bullseye by Pappas with that fastball. The Mays fans here, as rabid as they are, they will ride with every pitch today. This place is slowly but surely filling up. Here's the windup and the motion, the curveball up a bit too high to make it 1 ball and 1 strike. The on-deck man, Ken Asprobody, then the right fielder, Albie Pearson for our Angels here in the first inning. Seating capacity of 50,000 here. They shoot between 30 and 40 today. It's swinging a high fly ball, shallow left center field, going out for it. Ronnie Hansen under it now. The shortstop there makes the catch. Out about 25 or 30 feet on the edge of the outfield grass. So Yost pops up. And that is the first out. Here is second baseman Ken Asprobody. Brooks Robinson at third. Ronnie Hansen at short. Marv Breeding at second. Big Jim Gentile is at first. The outfield, Stevens in left, Jackie Brandt in center, and Snyder is in right. Gus Triando's back at the plate. Milt Pappas ready now to concentrate on Ken Asprobody. 1 out, not on. They pitch, check swing. Passed it foul to the right side of the plate, strike 1. The outfielders take Stevens out in left field. They're Jackie Brandt in center. They won't have to play too deep out here with that strong wind. I mentioned it's blowing from the left field corner toward right. During batting practice, the big guys like Bob Serve and Gus Triando's hit a lot of fly balls out there. Didn't go anywhere. It's a swing and a foul. Throwing going up into the upper deck. This ballpark, except for some seats that are located right in under the upper deck, everything is totally unprotected here. No roof on the stadium. It is a horseshoe stadium, and it's 309 feet down the right field line and the left field line, but it is mammoth everywhere else. 410 feet to straightaway center field. It's a good park for pitchers if you can keep them from pulling the ball. And the curveball low down in the dirt to make it 1 ball and 2 strikes. So it is opening day in Baltimore. The Angels batting here against Milt Pappas. Milt taking a little extra time. The temperature reading is in the 50s today, but Milt's right away. And the fastball cut on. Here's another foul. Lifted off back of the plate. The wind blows this one back up on the screen. Gus Triando's masked off, spun around, took a look at it. And it's still 1 ball and 2 strikes. Stevens, the plate umpire, Larry Knapp at first, John Rice at second, and Schwartz is the umpire at third. The mayor of Baltimore, Mayor Grady, is on a Caribbean cruise, so he was not present for the opening day ceremonies today, and the first ball was thrown out by Philip Goodman, the president of the city council and acting mayor, and that ball then was in turn turned over to Gene Autry. That's a very precious memento of the 61 American League season. And a swing and a foul off the end of the bat past Albie Pearson here on the right side, who was in the on-deck circle. And it's still 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Minnesota Twins and the New York Yankees, their game underway at New York. Pete Ramos on the mound for Minnesota. Whitey Ford, the left-hander for New York. Cleveland and Detroit, no score at the end of one. Jim Perry pitching for the Indians. Jim Bunning for Detroit. Kansas City and Boston underway at Fenway Park. Ray Herbert for Kansas City. Bill Monduquette pitching for the Boston Red Sox. Here's the two-strike delivery coming in now, and he curved him up a bit high. Quick curve, and it's ball 2 and strike 2. Suited out to our right here in the executive box, Lee McPhail of the Orioles, their general manager. Here's the 2-2 delivery coming in now, and strike 3 call. Bill Pappas set him a pitch right at the letters, and Aspermati is called out on strikes. Now the right fielder, little guy, played in this ballpark on many occasions, Albie Pearson. Seated with Lee McPhail to our right is the manager of the Chicago White Sox, Al Lopez. We all went over to see the White Sox opener, the presidential opener, with the new Washington Senators yesterday, and that produced a lot of excitement, a good ball game. Here's the windup and the pitch on the way to Albie. Up too high to him for ball 1. Brooks Robinson moves in a couple of steps at third. Guard against that bunt. Stevens plays the very shallow left field straight away. Jackie Brandt off toward right center and not too deep. Russ Snyder, however, is set deep and near the foul line in right field. Here's the 1-0 pitch now. Down too low, just below the knees. Inside for ball 2, and it's 2 balls and no strikes. Pappas usually is the type of pitcher who doesn't get underway very strong in the spring. But then he really comes on, as he did last year in winning 15 games. 2-0 pitch. Down too low to him. Ball 3, and it's 3-0. 3-0 count on Albie. Triana stepping out in front of the plate, offering the ball and some conversation to his right-hander, Milt Pappas. Here's the windup, and the next one way inside to him and low, ball 4. So Pearson gets on, our first base runner of the American League season. Little Albie on at first, and here is Fred Kluszewski coming up. Bob Elliott is the coach at first, and Red Press coaching at third. The Angels batting here, and you're listening to the Falstaff Baseball broadcast. And how about it, fans? Wouldn't a tall, frosty glass go great right now? Certainly would. Refresh yourself with light-hearted Falstaff. Big Close stands in on this chilly day. He has that heavy sweatshirt on. No muscles bared here this afternoon. Pappas steps down off the pitching rubber as Albie Pearson had moved out to his lead. Out to another one now, and the pitch on the way to Clue. Fastball down low for ball 1. So Pappas now off the target, walking Pearson on 4 deliveries. And he's just had his 5th pitch out of the strike zone, firing one low to Ted Kluszewski. The outfield back and shaded well around to the right. Swing and a high foul fly. The wind blows this one out of play down the right field line, and it travels deep up into the upper deck. 1 ball and 1 strike. The Orioles are unveiling some 2,600 new field box seats. This installation also includes the construction of new dugouts here at a cost of about $175,000. And what it does, it cuts down the foul territory area quite a bit on the third base side, first base side, and behind the plate. Here's a quick throw over to first base to Gentile, and Albie goes diving back to the bag in time. Second baseman Marv Breeding, midway between first and second, right back on the edge of the outfield grass. Ronnie Hansen near the bag at second. And the motion, the pitch, fastball, low and close. Good stop back 3 on this. That's the throw up the line to first. And the count is ball 2 and strike 1. Beautifully landscaped area out in center field near the giant scoreboard there, which is off toward right center. Ballpark is located in a residential area. Here's the stretch again, and the pitch to Clue is swaying a long, folks. Stay fair. Out there it is. Goodbye, baseball. Kluszewski gets one. Doug Kluszewski just shot one off Bill Pappas here at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, and the Angels lead 2-0. Here's Clue stepping around the bag at third. Coming on down the line, in the score, and the Angels are out at bat 2-0. 309 feet down the line, and that ball with the wind bending it toward the foul pole stayed fair by about 10 or 15 feet and went about 25 rows deep. into the open bleacher area out in right field. So the Angels jump out to a 2-0 lead. Here's left fielder Bob Serve, big right-handed hitter, and the pitch on the way. Fastball right at the knee, strike call. So Kluszewski cuts one out of here, and the Angels lead 2-0. Albie Pearson came in to score with a base on balls with 2 outs. Next pitch swung on a tremendous high fly ball deep out in right center, turning his back on it. Jackie Pratt, you can kiss it goodbye. Home run by Bob Serve. 395 feet away, and he's on the full run all the way around the bases and checking in, and the Angels are out in front 3-0, and they're really shaking up Pappas. Pappas is pulsating now as back-to-back home runs. Kluszewski and Serve, and the Angels lead 3-0. Here's the center fielder, Ken Hunt, still with 2 outs. What a tremendous beginning here in the first inning. The Angels out in front 3-0, and the curveball broke down too low to him for ball 1. Ken, right-handed batting center fielder, 300, almost 400 feet away on that tremendous drive by Bob Serve. The motion and the pitch. Slider right there at the knee. Strike. To make it 1 ball and 1 strike. So wildness on the part of Pappas has cost him. Here's the next delivery. In too tight at the knees. 12-2, and it's 2-1. And he is getting behind here in his count to Ken Hunt. He got Yost on a pop-up. Got Aspromonte, had him called out on strikes. But then he walked Albie Pearson. That opened the floodgates. And the pitch outside. Ball 3, and it's 3-1. We're shaking up the Baltimore bullpen. They have a right-handed throwing out there. Way beyond the 390-foot mark, past the wire fence that borders the outfield. That is about a 7 or 8-foot wire fence. Here's the 3-1 pitch coming in now, and it's outside to him, ball 4, so Hunt gets on. That is the fellow throwing out there in the bullpen is John Papa. He is the right-hander they just signed. Fellow stands 5'11", weighs 190 pounds, so he is throwing in the bullpen. Here's Fritzy Brickell stepping in. The stretch and the pitch on the way. Strike called. Outside corner. 0-1. Papa's contract has been purchased outright from the Little Rock Club of the Southern Association, effective immediately. So that makes him eligible to participate in today's game. Here's the stretch, the pitch. In too close to Fritz. Little right-handed batter, and the count is 1 ball and 1 strike. Three runs are in. Albie Pearson walked. Ted Kluszewski hit a tremendous home run into the bleachers out in right field, and then Bob Serve popped one over the wire fence 400 feet away. Stretch the throw over to first instead. Facing Ken Hunt safely back to the bag. Don Wells with Bob Kelly and Steve Bailey at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland. Here's the motion and the pitch. Down too low to him. To make it ball 2, 2-1. Now Gus Triandos calls time and wants to go out and see Milt Pappas. Our next Angel broadcast, we'll have a night game tomorrow. Warm-up time will be at 4:40 p.m. Game on KMPC and the Angel Radio Network and on KHJ-TV Channel 9. The Angels 3-0 here in the first inning. Mound conference at an end. Gus Triandos back at the plate. Brickell waits now. Here's the lead taken by Ken Hunt at first. 2 out, and the pitch swung on, fouled into the upper deck. And it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. The on-deck man is Del Rice. The Minnesota Twins failed in the first inning at New York. The Yankees are now at bat against Ramos. Bunning is out of the Cleveland-Detroit game, so the Indians cooking up something now as Regan came out to replace him in the second inning. Milt Pappas trying to get some heat on his pitching here now and just blowing on it. Up on top of the mound and set to go to work with Ken Hunt out to his lead about 8 or 9 feet away from the bag. The pitch in, close to him. Full count, 3-2. So Milt Pappas making his first opening day start, beginning his 4th full Major League season. Just 21 years of age. He's won more games lifetime, 40 at that age, than any other pitcher in modern Major League history, except Babe Ruth and Bob Feller. Runner going, a swing, little pop-up, shortstop side. Ronnie Hansen there, and Hansen makes the catch to retire the side. 7 men batted for the Angels, and that is a red-hot beginning here in Baltimore for the 1961 American League season. In the inning, there were 3 runs on 2 hits. 2-run homer by Kluszewski, solo homer by Bob Serve. No errors and 1 man left. The score at the end of the first half of the first inning, the Angels 3, Baltimore now coming to bat.
There's light-hearted living in light-hearted
Light, refreshing Falstaff beer. Great to enjoy right in your own backyard. Sure, dozing in the sun, gardening for the fun of it. It's more fun with Falstaff. So when your work's done, plant yourself next to a bright, brimming glassful. Ice cold, inviting, welcome as a spring day. Falstaff's on call whenever America plays.
There's light-hearted living in light-hearted Falstaff. Light, refreshing Falstaff beer when America plays. The name you hear is light, refreshing Falstaff beer. There's light-hearted living in light-hearted Falstaff, America's premium quality beer.
Bottles are 6-can packs. The pleasure's yours with Falstaff. Coast to coast, America's choice for a light-hearted living.
Now the last half of the first inning at Baltimore, leading off for the Baltimore Orioles will be center fielder Jackie Brandt. He will be followed by the right fielder Russ Snyder, and then by the third baseman Brooks Robinson. To set up the Angels defensively, Ted Kluszewski is at first, Ken Aspromonte at second, Fritz Brickell at short, Eddie Yost at third, Bob Serve in left field, Ken Hunt in center, and Albie Pearson in right, and the battery Eli Gerba and Del Rice. Eli with the Yankees last year won 6 and lost 4. 0-1 record, lifetime against the Orioles. On September 26, 1959, Gerba lost in relief while pitching for the Yankees. He lost to Hal Skinny Brown 7-2 in 11 innings. He did not work against the Orioles last year. So here is center fielder Jackie Brandt stepping into the batter's box. Right-handed batter. The on-deck man is the right fielder Snyder. And the Angels lead 3-0 in the last half of the first. The pitch, strike call. Put one right in there to make it 0-1. Eli this spring had an earned run average of 2.63. Did some terrific work for the Angels during the exhibition season. In the 24 innings he worked. To wind up the pitch, slider, put outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Worked 24 innings, gave up a total of 26 hits, 7 earned runs, walked 12, struck out 11. And the earned run mark of 2.63, the best figure posted by any of the Angels pitchers this spring. The motion and the 1-1 delivery right down the middle to him. Strike called to make it 1-2. John Stevens, the plate umpire. So Eli has the honor here of being the first Angels pitcher. Has a 2-strike count on Jackie Brandt, and the delivery to him low outside to make it 2 balls and 2 strikes. The Orioles may very definitely miss the hitting power of Gene Woodley. And the pitch is swung on, ground ball, base hit out of the left field. Between Eddie Yost and Fritz Brickell, and the Orioles have a man on. Jackie Brandt, that one, through the left side of the infield. So with the man on, here's the right fielder, Russ Snyder. Snyder, a left-handed hitter with Kansas City in the 1960 season. And the motion, the pitch is swung and a miss. Strike 1. Landing fastball by Gerba. Snyder hit 260 with the Kansas City A's last year. Hit 313 with them in 1959. He has tremendous speed, good throwing arm, and the ability to hit sharp line drives to all corners of the field. Here's the motion, and the let-up pitch to him, low and outside, to make it 1 ball and 1 strike. Russ was originally a product of the Yankee farm system, and he found his way to the Kansas City team in one of the many player transactions between the two clubs. And then he moved to the Orioles along with Whitey Herzog in exchange for Wayne Causey, Clint Courtney, and Bob Boyd. Makes his home in Nelson, Nebraska. Yost plays a shallow third. The curveball up too hot to him. Ball 2 to make it 2-1. Del Rice looked up the line toward first, but Jackie Brandt staying right there. The on-deck man, one of the finest-looking youngsters in baseball today, third baseman Brooks Robinson. Not only great defensively, but he is a tough man to deal with at the plate. Ball 2 and strike 1. Nobody out. Angels lead 3-0. Last half of the first. Stretch taken by Gerba, and the pitch swung on ground ball off of the second base side. Aspromonte goes to second for 1. No relay to first. So the force play is made on the ground ball by Russ Snyder. Aspromonte came up with that ball, made the toss to Fritz Brickell. Brickell, with the speed of Snyder, didn't chance to throw back to first. And with 1 out and a runner at first, here's third baseman Brooks Robinson. Listen to the welcome this youngster gets. Snyder is on a fielder's choice. 1 down, last half of the first inning. The Angels out in front 3-0. And the motion and the pitch. Good curveball for a strike. Brooks Robinson, right-handed batter. And the fastball by Gerba. Low and outside to make it 1-1. Brooks had a terrific spring. He wound up hitting .316, 25 hits and 79 times at bat. He and Hansen and Herzog and Gentile were the leading spring hitters. Kansas City and Boston, no score at the end of 1. And the pitch. Curved him low outside. Nice stop by Del Rice. Make it ball 2 and strike 1. The outfield set up straight away. Serve, Hunt, and Pearson. Robinson wound up hitting .294 over the Orioles last year. 88 RBIs. And the delivery to him, a swing and a ground ball down to short. Brickell over to Aspromonte for 1. Relay to first. They got it in plenty of time. So the infield backs up Eli Gerba with a double play as Eli got Robinson to bounce one right at the shortstop, Fritz Brickell. 6-4-3 to do it. The Baltimore story in the first inning, no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and with the twin killing, nobody left. So that is the first double play of the American League season for the Angels. The score at the end of 1, Los Angeles Angels 3, the Baltimore Orioles nothing.
This is Paul Richards, manager of the Baltimore Orioles. The Orioles will be at Wrigley Field in Los Angeles for a 3-game series beginning Tuesday night, May 3rd. You'll be seeing such stars as Brooks Robinson, Chuck Estrada, Gus Triandos, Ron Hansen, and many others. Remember, the Angels meet the Orioles in a 3-game series at Wrigley Field beginning Tuesday night, May 3rd.
Well, thank you very much, Paul. And friends, a reminder that the ticket office at comfortable Wrigley Field is open daily to serve you on a personal basis. The genial ticket manager, Billy Jordan, and his fine staff are there from 9:30 in the morning until 5:30 in the evening. And you telephone Adams 2-4761 for ticket information or stop in for your seat selections at easy-to-reach Wrigley Field. Well, we're getting set now for the second inning. Hold on to that Western Union tape. Steve just pulled off the Western Union ticker here, and that looks mighty good. We'll have to keep this in our time capsule, Cal. Ted Kluszewski, Homer, L.A. first, 1 on. At Baltimore, serve, Homer, L.A. first, none on. And at the end of that first half of the first inning, the Angels 3 and the Baltimore Orioles nothing. Now we're moving into the top half of the second. Here's Del Rice leading off, and the first pitch to Del up too high for ball 1. Milt Pappas on the mound. Del has something in his eye with that wind kicking the dirt around down there around home plate. And it is still blowing in fiercely from the left field corner, blowing toward right. Those pennants out there are really standing out. Here's the lineup by Pappas and the 1-0 pitch to Dell. Low outside, ball 2, and it's 2 balls and no strikes. The Indians came up with 6 runs at Detroit. They knocked out Jim Bunning, the starter, and it's Cleveland 6, Detroit nothing. The Tigers batting and facing Jim Perry in the last half of the second. Here's the 2-0 pitch, and it's outside at the waist, ball 3, 3-0. Activity again in the Baltimore bullpen. So John Papa, P-A-P-A, is throwing in the bullpen again. And the delivery down too low, ball 4. Rice gets on with the 3rd walk issued by Pappas in less than 2 innings. Coming up now will be the Angel pitcher. Here comes Eli, gingerly stepping up the steps there, the dugout off on the first base side where the Angels are located and moving out toward the plate. Our part of the fight for mental health is to understand. For a free booklet, How to Deal with Your Tensions, write Better Health, Box 3000, New York 1, New York. Eli Gerba steps in now with a runner at first base and nobody out. Second inning. Angels lead 3-0. Here's the stretch taken by Pappas. They look for the sacrifice, but the pitch low and close, ball 1. So Pappas still off the target. Well, it's a chilly day in Baltimore, but it got hot in a hurry there in the first inning. With a walk to Pearson, the 2-run homer by Kluszewski, and the long poke with the bases empty by Bob Surd. Stretch again, and the delivery on the way. Strike call to make it 1-1. Here they expected between 30 and 40,000 people today, and from the looks of things, they just about realized that estimate. Here's the 1-1 pitch, and it's bunted out in front of the plate. Going for it, Triandas goes to second. Got him at second base. Gerba safe at first. No throw made. So the sacrifice failed. Eli had that pitch bunted out just in front of the plate and on the first base side by a couple of feet. And Gus Triandas, great, quick, agile receiver he is despite his size, grabbed that ball and whipped it through to the shortstop, Ronnie Hansen, to get the force out on Del Rice sliding in. So Gerba on a fielder's choice. Now with 1 out, here's the third baseman, Eddie Yost. Eddie started things off by popping out to Hansen in the first inning. Milt Pappas getting ready to operate on Yost. Fed him a curveball in close at the letters for ball 1. In the National League, in the game between the Cubs and Cincinnati, Glenn Hobby starting for the Cubs, and the definite starter for the Redlegs, the young fellow Jim O'Toole. 1-0 count on Yost, and the pitch too low to him. Ball 2, and it's 2-0. The Minnesota Twins failed in the second inning. The Yankees are now batting. No score in that game at New York. Ramos and Ford. Here the Angels lead 3-0, and we're in the first half of the second with a man on and 1 out. Aspromati on deck. As Yost saw Pappas taking so much time that Eddie elected to step out of the batter's box. Grabbed a handful of dirt, moves in again. Now the 2-0 pitch. Up too hot to him, ball 3, and it's 3-0. If Yost manages to get on with a walk, knowing Paul Richards' usual pattern, he will probably be out there in a hurry, or have Lumen Harris out there to see Pappas. And the pitch is strike call to make it 3-1. Of course, that thought is going through young Milton's mind right now, too. He doesn't want to see the man from Waxahachie, Texas, come out there either in person or send out one of his representatives. So the stretch and the 3-1 delivery into Tatum, and it's ball 4. So that puts 2 men on. Now, Mr. Richards, seated down there in the brand new Baltimore dugout, hasn't made a move. Up here's the sign going out to the bullpen. Are you ready? This is made by Lumen Harris. He takes his cap off and he signals out to the bullpen to Harry Burkeen that if he thinks that pitcher throwing in the bullpen is ready, that, well, if he has trouble here with Aspromati, they'll have Pappas out in a hurry. Runners at first and second, and the pitch to Kent up too high for ball 1. 1-0 count now. Angels lead 3-0 and a chance to get some more. Eli Gerba is on at second base. Eddie Yost is at first. And the motion, the pitch, swung on, little roller foul up the third base side. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike. So in less than 2 innings, in an inning and a third, Pappas has given up 4 walks, only 2 hits. But what beautiful sights they were, both home runs. Here's the stretch again by Pappas, and the Oriole right-hander changed up on him and got it way up high for ball 2, and it's 2-1. 2-1 count on Ken Aspromonte. Ken was called out on strikes in the first inning. On deck, Albie Pearson. Here's that stretch again, and the delivery coming in now. A fastball swung on backward out. Look out there. Play those carom shots up here, boys. You need those plastic helmet liners out there. That one came in and ricocheted off both sections of glass lining our booth and passed over Dick Nelson's head and went right back out of the ballpark. It's like a giant pinball machine. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Ken Aspromonte. Pappas goes to the stretch again, and they pitch. Check swing, bloops one down the first base side foul and away from Jim Gentile. Ken Aspromonte checked his swing on a high delivery to him, and he blooped one down the line. So it's still an even count, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Come on, Ken. Runners at first and second here with only 1 out. Pappas, the great young right-hander, trying to hang on here and hang in tight. Here's the 2-2 delivery now. Swing and a foul. Cut back on the screen, and it's still 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, we'll have the night game with the Orioles tomorrow night. Today, the Washington Senators and the White Sox, who officially opened the season yesterday in Washington, have the day off. And then they will return to action again tomorrow. And from here, we'll be traveling to Boston, then to New York, then on to Detroit, then to Chicago, and then back home to Los Angeles on April 27th with the Minnesota Twins. Here's the 2-2 pitch coming in now. Swing, a shot. Knocked down by Robinson at third. Let's see if he has a play. The third is second, fourth play is second base. Eddie Yost is fourth at second base. Here's Bill Rigney coming out, and they're going to hop all over John Rice. Rigney coming out now. As Brooks Robinson made a fantastic stop with that ball at third. Dove out for it, knocked it down, it flicked off his glove, rolled behind third by about 10 or 12 feet. He picked the ball up, no chance for a play on Gerber at third, so he got that ball to second base to Breeding, and it was in time. So Aspromonte on a fielder's choice and robbed of an extra base hit. Bill Rigney not going to give up on this easily. He is still working on second base umpire John Rice. Up and down go the hands, and this is the first full-scale argument of the 1961 season. And now Rigg has turned his back, kicks the dirt like a snorting bull as he comes back from second base. And the wind kicks up some dirt of its own around the home plate area. Runners at first and third, now with 2 out. Without that play at second base, the Angels would have had the bases loaded with only 1 away. Here's Albie Pearson stepping in. Runners at first and third, 2 down. Angels lead 3-0, and the pitch on the way to Albie. Strike right at the knee. So Brooks Robinson turns in fantastic play number 1. And the motion, the pitch. Curve, strike call over the inside edge of the plate to make it 0-2. 0-2 count. The Indians lead Detroit 6-0. That game in the last half of the third, Detroit batting. Here's the stretch and the 2-strike pitch to Albie. Curved him again. Low and close. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Runners at first and third. Aspromati is on at first. Eli go to the pitcher around here at third. Stretch again. Pappas delivers, and Pearson takes down low. Ball 2. Fastball by Pappas. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now they have 2 pitchers throwing in the bullpen for the Orioles, a pair of right-handers. Here's the motion again on the delivery. Pearson swings, line drive, base hit, left center field. Gerba comes in with a 4th run. Kid Aspromati holds at second base, and the mighty Mike, Albie Pearson, shoots a line drive for a base hit to right center field. Let's pause now for station identification. This is the Golden West Radio Network.
This is KMPC, Los Angeles, modern radio, action radio. And this is Johnny Grant reminding you there's always plenty of action on the Freeway Club every afternoon on KMPC, 710 on everybody's dial.
Well, the coach, Lumen House of the Orioles, has come up to the mound. And this will be all for Milt Pappas. They're loading up a convertible out there. They use the convertible to bring the pitchers out of the bullpen. So before Ted Kluszewski steps in, Ted won't have a chance to face Pappas again. And, of course, that big thought ran through Paul Richards' mind. He said, well, after he kissed that one in the first inning with a man on, they're going to Derek Milt Pappas at this point. So the base hit by Albie Pearson that makes this a 4-0 game is the hit that does it. Here's a real break for you folks who love baseball but live on a budget. The Angels have made your ticket desires so easy if you hold a Bank Americard. All you have to do is use your Bank Americard for Angels season tickets, the Daylight 21 and the Weekender, for advanced block orders. And never before could you enjoy Major League Baseball relaxed in a choice seat in easy-to-reach Wrigley Field and pay for it later direct to your Bank of America. Remember, the Angels open their home season Thursday afternoon, April 27th, against the Minnesota Twins in the American League's history-making opener in Los Angeles. So now's the time to use this convenient, easy-to-pay method for exciting baseball this summer. Telephone, write, or visit Wrigley Field now for tickets that ensure seeing the game's greatest stars right there. The address, 435 East 42nd Place. The telephone number, Adams 24761. Come in, Kel.
Let's check our scoreboard here. The Chicago White Sox and the Washington Senators on today played yesterday in Washington in the Presidential Opener. The White Sox winning at 4-3. At Yankee Stadium this afternoon, the Minnesota Twins and the Yankees are 0-0 at the end of 2. Pete Ramos pitching for Minnesota and Whitey Ford going for the Yanks. Cleveland had a big 6-run second inning. I would report it back at Tiger Stadium in the last half of third. Cleveland leads the Tigers 6-0. Jim Perry, 18-game winner for the Tribe last year, pitching for Cleveland. The Tigers bunting started, knocked out of the box in the second inning when Reagan came on. Kansas City and the Boston Red Sox, 0-0 at the end of first. Ray Herbert pitching for Kansas City, and for Boston, Monbouquet. In the National League, the Cubs are at Cincinnati, Robbie against O'Toole. St. Louis at Milwaukee, Broglio against Vaughn. The Pirates at San Francisco, Friend against Sam Jones. And tonight at the Coliseum in Los Angeles, the Phillies with Robin Roberts going against the Dodgers with Don Drysdale. And on behalf of our broadcasting crew and all of the Angel organization, we'd like to wish the Dodgers a lot of good luck. Well, we have a new pitcher out there taking his warm-up throws, and he is young John Papa, P-A-P-A, 5'11", 190, a right-hander from Stratford, Connecticut. He was with Appleton, Wisconsin last year, where his record was 7. He was with Appleton, Wisconsin last year, where his record was 7-6. During spring training, he was 1-2, working 24 innings, giving up 23 hits, 14 runs, 11 earned runs, walked 17, and fanned 7. So it's coming up here with the Angels leading 4-0 at the top of the second. Asked for money on second. Pearson on first, and Big Clue, who hit a home run, a 2-run job in the first inning, up here and again down.
John Papa is just 21 years of age. Little right-hander and set to go to work on Ted Kluszewski. Bob Serb on deck. Runners at first and second, and with 2 out, curveball in too close to him. Ted wheeled away from it, and it's ball 1. So from Pappas to Papa. The Orioles roster is already 2 below the opening day 28-player maximum. So as a result, they have retained this 21-year-old. Very impressive this spring. Won 7 and lost 6 in Class B ball in 1960. He takes the stretch. 1-0 pitch. Clue looks at a curve, low and close. Let up on that pitch, and it's ball 2, 2-0. The Angels lead 4-0, and the run driven in by the little guy. Potent guy here in this one in the early innings. Albie Pearson. He walked in the first and scored a run. Singled to drive in a run here in the second. Ken Aspromonte is on at second base. Albie away to his lead at first. Papa's gone 2-0 on Kluszewski. And the motion, the pitch. Fastball, swing and a miss. Boom, he had that one in there before you knew it. And the count is 2-1. Paul Richards said down in his office earlier when we all went in to visit him that he had done quite a bit in completely changing around Papa's pitching style this spring. Try to help him tremendously in his pitching rhythm and also in his leverage. And he said there's one thing about his fastball. He said he doesn't appear to be overpoweringly fast, but that fastball does something. Did plenty there as Kluszewski waved at it. Here's the stretch for the 2-1 delivery now. Swing, and there's a long, long poke. Goodbye, baseball. It is way out there. Gone. I had to check the expression of manager Al Lopez of the White Sox over here, but how about that one, Al? All right. Muscles, huh? Al said earlier, he said it must be the fact that he's wearing that sweatshirt. He's not wearing those. He said if he had those muscles showing, what would he do? A tremendous poke out of here, a 3-run homer by Kluszewski, and the Angels lead 7-0. Aspromonte came in. Albie Pearson checked in. Kluszewski with back-to-back homers. 5 RBIs for Ted. He's putting on a one-man performance here for all of the fans. Here's Bob Serb, a swing and a foul back on the screen, strike 1. And not too many smiling faces at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. 3 runs in the first inning, 4 more here in the second. That is only the 4th Angel hit, but of the 4, 3 have been home runs. Bob Serb hit a long job in the first inning, and the motion, look out, Bob, high and close to him, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. One count on Bob Serb. What a day for Clue. Here's the 1-1 delivery now. Swing, a shot foul into the upper deck down the right field line, right down one of the exit holes up there, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. In the National League in the St. Louis-Milwaukee game at County Stadium in Milwaukee, Ernie Broglio pitching for St. Louis, Warren Spahn for the Milwaukee Braves. 2 o'clock temperature reading, 51 degrees. And they're clocking some good strong winds. We have made reference to them a number of times. Here's the motion and the 2-strike pitch. Let up on it, swung and missed, strike 3. Bob Serb, fooled on that changeup by Papa, strikes out to retire the side, but Kluszewski gave Papa a good major league indoctrination lesson there with that long 3-run homer. So in the second inning, 4 runs check in on a total of 2 hits. 2 walks in the inning. There were no errors. And with that home run by Kluszewski, nobody left. The score at the end of the first half of the second are Angels 7, Baltimore nothing.
Say, you fans who enjoyed the great Pacific Coast League games at Wrigley Field will be seeing some familiar faces in the 61 Angels lineup. Gerba, Bilko, Aspromante, they were outstanding players in the OPCL, making a point to give the Angels pure support throughout the season. Our own Southern California team, presented on radio and TV by Lighthearted Falstaff Beer. Brisk, refreshing as a cool sea breeze. Our favorite coast to coast, wherever America plays. Have a Falstaff.
There's light-hearted living and light-hearted Falstaff. Nice, refreshing Falstaff beer when America plays. The name you hear is light, refreshing Falstaff beer. There's light-hearted living and light-hearted Falstaff, America's premium quality beer.
Charles and I were just discussing. We don't know if they have a tape measure long enough for that one that Klu hit. We figure it was about 440 feet away, or 450 on the fly, because it went into the bleacher area above the Baltimore bullpen, and this is well beyond the wire fence. It's 380 feet to the point where the low wire fence meets up with the brick wall that they have out there in right field. And this was well beyond that, and about 20 rows up into that section. So that was one mighty shot by Kluszewski, good for 3 more runs. The Angels lead 7-0, and here's the last half of the second coming up. First baseman Jim Gentile, guy with good power. You have to treat him with plenty of respect up there at the plate. Gus Triandos on deck, and then the left fielder Gene Stevens. Gentile, the 1960, wound up hitting .292 with this ball club, 6'4", 215 pounds, and the fastball by Gerba up high and away for ball 1. 98 RBIs last year. He had 21 home runs. Cincinnati has taken a 1-0 lead over the Cubs at the end of 1. Frank Robinson homered in the first inning. Eli Gerba 1-0 on Gentile, the big left-handed hitter, and the delivery to him, curve, swung on, drive, base hit out of the right field. Albie Pearson makes the pickup with this ball. Gentile is on with the second Baltimore hit. Here is Gus Triandos. Listen to this reception. Gus Triandos, 6'3", 220 pounds. With the Orioles last year, .269 batting average, 54 RBIs, 12 homers. He was handicapped with a bum hand. Bad finger. And the curveball to him, a straight long drive out into left field, but the wind holds this ball up. Bob Serve over a couple of steps, makes the catch. You hit one up into that wind, driving in as it is from left field toward the right field corner. And those are just routine, practically routine fly balls. Any other time, had it been still out there and the sound of that one, that ball would have been gone. Without that terrific wind blowing in. Gentile on at first. Here's Gene Stevens. This is Ronnie Hansen. Double check on that. So they've made a switch in the batting order. Ronnie Hansen. First pitch to him by Gerba up high. So make this Ronnie Hansen, the shortstop up there, right-handed batter. And the strike to him offered by Gerba. 7-0, the Angels lead. Last half of the second inning. Ronnie, 6'3", 190 pounds, hit .255 with the Orioles last year. Pitch by Gerba, swing, a little tap up the third base side. Eli makes the fair hand pickup, throws to first. He got it. And the runner, Gentile, goes to second base. So Hansen is out of there, pitcher to first. From Gerba to Kluszewski. Good fast fielding by Gerba, did the trick. Gentile on at second base. And here is Stevens. Cleveland 6, Detroit 2 at the end of 3 at Tiger Stadium in Detroit. Minnesota Twins 0, the Yankees 0 at the end of 3. Here the Angels lead 7-0. Last half of the second. Here's Stevens. Stevens in left field today. Whitey Herzog on the injured list for the Orioles. Otherwise, he would have been on the starting lineup. Curveball by Gerba, low and close. Herzog sustained a broken nose in Richmond Sunday. He was released from Richmond Memorial Hospital yesterday. He was out here at the ballpark. I saw him this morning. He expects to be able to play in about a week. And the pitch, curved, swung on, fouled off to the right side of the plate. 2 out here, and a 1-1 count on the batter, Stevens. Gentile on at second. Stevens, who filled in for Ted Williams with the Red Sox for a number of years. Tall, left-handed hitter, stands 6'3". Hit .235 last year with a combination of the Red Sox and Baltimore. He was traded for Willie Tasby. The pitch to him outside by Gerba, and it's ball 2 and strike 1. One of the most sought-after young players in America, and nevertheless he remained with the Red Sox for a period of 6 years, serving as an understudy for Ted Williams, and he found little chance to play enough to realize his true potential. Joined the Orioles in June of last season. Stretched by Gerba. They don't go for the pickoff. They delivery down too low for ball 3. Fritzy Burkell had moved in behind the base runner Gentile. But Gerba instead concentrated on the batter, and it's now ball 3 and strike 1. Gina makes his home during the winter in Oklahoma City. He's one of the few players in professional baseball to have hit safely 3 times in a single inning. Really the high spot in his career to date. Pitch to him outside at the waist for ball 4. So Stevens is on with the first walk issued by Gerba. Gentile is there at second base. Here's the second baseman, Marv Breeding.
The second baseman, number 1, Marv Breeding.
One of the factors which cannot be overlooked in the success of the 1960 Orioles was the fine all-around performance of this guy at second base. Wound up hitting .267, right-hander. Up here with runners at first and second and 2 out, and the pitch by Gerba. Nice one, snapped it right in there for a strike. He drove in 43 runs, hit 3 homers. He participated in the lion's share of the record-breaking 172 double plays reeled off by the Bird infield last year. Swing on a good slider by Gerba, and a miss for 2 strikes. Boy with pretty good speed and a good base runner, too. Breeding led the club in stolen bases during the 1960 season, but it's one thing to remember that Baltimore had never been much of a running ball club. 2 strikes on Breeding now with Gentile at second, Stevens on at first. Last half of the second, the Angels lead Baltimore 7-0. Here's the pitch on the way, and he checked his swing, took it outside, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. One ball and 2 strikes. This is Don Wells with Bob Kelly and Steve Bailey at Memorial Stadium on a blustery day, but it's a day off to a good start with 7 of them up there on the board in the first 2 innings. 2-strike delivery coming up now. Runners at first and second, and the fastball swung on ground ball down to short. Burkell bobbles that ball, goes to second, throws by Astronaut. Here is Gentile coming in to score. And the Orioles wind up with runners at second and third. Ground ball that was hit right at Burkell at short. Bobbled the ball, came up with it, still had time to get it to second base to try to gain the force on Stevens, but Fritz threw the ball into right field. It's going to be a fielder's choice, and an error for Burkell. So an error 6. I'll make that 2 errors. An error for bobbling the ball initially, and then the error on the throw. So a pair of errors on Burkell. Well, let's see what manager Paul Richards elects to do here. He's going to make a switch. At this stage of the game, down by a 7-1 score, he will have to come up with a change. Lift his pitcher, Papa, out of there, and we'll wait and see now. Is coming up off the bench. Looks like it's going to be Earl Robinson. This will be Earl Robinson. Now he has been recalled. It's going to be Dave Philly. Earl Robinson came out, and they called him back. And here's the great veteran, Dave Philly. Dave will be up here to swing for the pitcher, Papa. Runners at second and third, and with 2 out. Dave Philly is switch hitter, so he will be batting left-handed against the right-hander Eli Gerba. From Paris, Texas. Baltimore, last season, 265 average, and the first pitch to him, a strike. And with the Phillies in San Francisco, he wound up hitting 197. Dave Philly, born in 1920 down in Texas. Runners at second and third. 1 run is in. The Angels out in front 7-1. As an unearned run checked in. 2 errors charged to Brickell. First for not being able to come up with Breeding's ground ball, and then for his throw by Aspromonte into right field, enabling Gentile to come in and score. Stevens on at third, Breeding at second base. 2 down, last half of the second inning. Here's the motion by Gerba, and the pitch coming in today, a swing and a foul tip. Got a piece of it, and it's 2 strikes. Nothing in 2 count that Gerba has on Philly. The outfield and the infield swung well around to the right. The motion, the pitch. Down too low to him. Gerba thought he had him. Started to walk off the mound, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Dave started his organized baseball career in Class C ball in 1940. Got up to the White Sox in 1941, stayed with the White Sox for a number of years, 251 in fact. We're into the 51 season. Then with the Philadelphia A's, Cleveland, Baltimore, Detroit, the Phillies, Giants, back to Baltimore. So much time taken now that Philly steps out of the batter's box. Dave is 40 years of age, but he is in prime physical condition. Here's the motion and the 2-strike pitch to Philly. Swing, little pop-up. Shortstop side. Brickell makes the call for the ball. Fritz is there, makes the catch to retire the side. So in the second inning, 1 run, an unearned run. 1 hit, 1 walk, pair of errors. And there were 2 men left. Fans to score at the end of 2 are Los Angeles Angels 7 and the Baltimore Orioles 1. Now Falstaff presents Angel in the Spotlight to help you get to know our Southern California team better. And today's Angel in the Spotlight, well, boy, he is really in the spotlight at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, Ted Kluszewski. Man, it's hard to believe they come in packages this big. Born in Argo, Illinois in 1924, Big Kluz stands 6'2", weighs 245. He's got muscles he never uses, but he's using them all out here today. Ted was one of the top home run hitters in the National League from 1953 to 1956 with 40, 49, 47, and 35 round trippers. Ted had 10 RBIs in the 1959 World Series against the Dodgers when he was a member of the Chicago White Sox. Big Kluz attended Indiana University, played football naturally. See Ted Kluszewski and his teammates in action starting April 27th at Wrigley Field, or catch the games on radio, compliments of light-hearted Falstaff beer.
There's light-hearted living in light-hearted Falstaff. Light refreshing Falstaff beer when America plays. The name you hear is light refreshing Falstaff beer. There's light-hearted living in light-hearted Falstaff, America's premium quality beer.
Well, we have another pitching change now made by manager Paul Richards as Wes Stock, right-hander, comes in to work for the Orioles. Seeing Papa, and Stock. Let's pause now for station identification. This is the Golden West Radio Network.
This is 50,000 watt KMPC Los Angeles, home of the Angels, and our angelic early morning disc jockey, Dick Whittinghill. It's Action Radio, modern radio on KMPC 710 on everybody's dial.
When you look over the records, there aren't too many home runs hit in this ballpark. It's a tough ballpark in which to hit homers. And I think that this is probably one of the most productive days that any team has had. In fact, I would guarantee that this sets an all-time record for Memorial Stadium in first and second inning home run production. The fact that 3 been hit in the first 2 innings of today's game. 7-1 score. The Angels lead. Third inning getting underway, and Wes Stock, right-hander, faces center fielder Ken Hunt. Ken walked in the first inning. He is the 6th man of the batting order, then Brickell. And the fastball by Stock is down too low for ball 1. Stock with Baltimore last year wound up winning 2 and losing 2. He was with Miami to begin with in the 60 season, won 8, lost 6. He has a sinking fastball. Gets it over the plate wall. Strike called outside corner. 1 ball and 1 strike. Born in 1934, stands 6'1", weighs 177 pounds. About a tenth by Hunt. Sails foul up on the screen behind the plate. And it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. This looks like a permanent assignment for Stock in the Baltimore bullpen. The Angels lead 7-1, starting the 3rd inning. Here's the 2-strike pitch to Ken Hunt. Hit him. Got him right up on the wrist. Got him on the right wrist as he fell away from that pitch by Stock. And Hunt hit here, gets on to start things off in the 3rd. Bob Elliott, the coach at first, comes over to check, and Ken indicates he's all right. Here's the shortstop, Fritz Brickell. That one also Nick Gus Triandos. There was one that glanced off the wrist, then the bat of Hunt. And then caught Gus Triandos just above the wrist. His bare hand. So time was taken, and Gus went out, walked around, talked to Stock for a moment, now coming back behind the plate. Fritz Brickell, who popped out to Ronnie Hansen, the shortstop, to retire the side in the first inning, steps in now with Hunt on at first, nobody out. And the next man up there will be the catcher, Del Rice. Tomorrow's game, it will be Steve Barber against Ned Garber. And the stretch. Stock delivers, runner going, a swing and a foul fly out of play down the right field line, traveling into the upper deck. And it's 1 strike. Minnesota, nothing. The New York Yankees, nothing. At the end of 4. The Indians of Cleveland, 7. The Detroit Tigers, 2. Detroit batting, last half of the 4th. Kansas City, 2. Boston, nothing. Last half of the 3rd. In the National League, Cincinnati 1. The Cubs, nothing at the end of 2. St. Louis, nothing. Milwaukee, nothing. And the Braves are batting in their half of the 2nd. So those are all the scores up to date. Ken Hunt running on that last pitch. Away to his lead at first, draws the throw. Stock whipped one over to Gentile. But Ken went jumping right back to the bag. Here's the motion and the pitch. Brickell swings, ground ball, third base side. Robinson over to Breeding for 1. Relay to first. In time, double play. They can really push that ball around the infield. Robinson to Breeding to Gentile. And these 2 clubs even up, a double play apiece. Fritz Brickell bouncing one down to the third baseman, Butch Robinson. Now with 2 out, here is the catcher, Del Rice. Del walked to start the 2nd inning. Clouds overhead, that wind continues to sail them across the sky. That strong breeze. The motion by the Orioles right-hander Stock. Pitch swung on, drive deep out of the left field. Breaking back for the ball goes Stevens. Wynn holds this one up, and Stevens makes the catch. So Rice really pounded one well out in left field, but it was fighting the wind all the way. In the third, no runs, no hits, no errors. Down to the double play, nobody left. Score at the end of the first half of the third. The Angels 7, Baltimore 1.
Well, it seems like everybody's doing it, Donald.
Doing what, Robert?
Rallying around a hometown team, getting set to go all out for our Angels in 1961.
Well, I'll tell you something else Californians are going for, Bob, and that's handy glass cans of the beer that brings you the Angels light-hearted fall staff.
Well, you can't blame them. Those trim, no-deposit bottles are just the thing for convenience. Real space savers, Don. Fit right in the palm of your hand, fit any shelf.
Yes, they're just the thing for bottled beer enjoyment, too, brimming with choice and cheerful real beer flavor.
So latch on to a six-pack or two of light-hearted living. Handy, no-deposit glass cans of light-hearted Falstaff, America's premium quality beer.
There's light-hearted living in light-hearted Falstaff, America's premium quality beer.
Joe, we're off to quite a start. Here's the sun trying to peek through again.
Yeah, I tell you, it's been cold every time I've ever been in Baltimore. I was remarking down there before to the custodian in charge of the press box. He says, well, I've seen you before someplace, haven't I? And I said, yes, I've been here with the Rams. And this is the same kind of Baltimore weather I'm used to.
Well, let's see what happens now in the Baltimore half of the third. Center fielder Jackie Brandt steps in. Jackie, in the first inning, had a base hit. Hit one between Yost and Brickell in the left field. Right-handed batter, and the motion, the pitch by Gerba. Swing, same spot, base hit, left field. Jackie Brandt didn't waste any time up there. Took a cut on that initial offering by Gerba and pounded one again in the hole between short and third. Here is the left-handed batting right fielder, Russ Snyder. He hit into a fielder's choice, or reached on a fielder's choice, hitting into a force play on the first inning. So a run at first. Angels lead 7-1. We're in the last of the third. Here's the stretch. Yost coming in from third, and the pitch down low for a ball. 1 ball to no strikes. By that I don't mean when I say Yost coming in from third, that down by 6 runs, that they find any sacrificing idea here. But Snyder, with his great speed, could possibly be bunting for the hit. Just bunting to get on. And the pitch cut on. Late foul tip. 1 ball and 1 strike. The Orioles last year finished second to the Yankees, trailed them by 8 games. And they were 2 games ahead of the third-place White Sox. Gerber ready with the 1-1 delivery. Curve high and outside. And it's ball 2 and strike 1. So the 2-1 delivery ready here by Gerber. High and outside, ball 3, and it's 3-1. So Eli, pitching to the left-hander, Russ Snyder, having trouble with him, and Del Rice goes out to talk to Eli. Here's Eddie Yost coming over from his spot at third to join the conversation. Rice coming back behind the plate, Eddie going back over to the bag, and Eli takes a moment, gets that glove off, rubs up this ball, and checks around the infield, takes his cap off for a moment. Standing right on the bag, Jackie Brandt. Way to his lead now. Kluszewski playing off the bag. 3-1 delivery coming in. Up too high, ball 4. Well, they're 2 on with nobody out in the third. And here's Robinson. We're in the business section of the batting order now with Robinson, Gentile, and Friandos coming up in order. And we're going to see some activity in the Angels bullpen. Here is Brooks Robinson, right-handed batter. Hit into a double play. First time up. Pitch to him. Strike call. Work the outside corner of the plate. Strike one. Jackie Brandt on at second base. Russ Snyder is here at first. We're in the last half of the third. Eli Gerba takes that stretch again. The look toward the lead man at second and the pitch. Hook outside at the waist. Ball one and strike one. Tex Clevenger throws for the Angels in the bullpen. Out beyond the low wire fence, 390 feet away. So Gerba 1-1 on Robinson. Robinson can on many occasions be a good long ball hitter. And the next pitch to him, popped the fastball in there. Caught him by surprise. Strike two call. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Because as that pitch came in, Robbie took a double take on it. Well, Mammoth Ballpark. Tremendous acreage there in the outfield, except out in the foul line. 1-2 count. Runners at first and second with nobody out. Here's the 2-strike pitch. Swung on, driven down the right field line, foul. About 5 or 6 feet outside the line. Albie Pearson, as it caromed off the wall, makes a pickup of it. So you can put your heart back in its right spot now, and it's a 1-2 count. Minnesota nothing, the Yankees nothing. We're there in the last half of the fifth. Here we are in the last of the third. Brooks Robinson sliced one, shot one, foul down the right field line. 1-2 on him. Eli getting a side from Del Rice. The look toward the lead man again, and the pitch swung on. Here's the fly ball out into right field. The wind is blowing into the foul territory, and it's going to be fouled down the right field line. Missed the foul pole by about 25 or 30 feet, dropping up into the seats. And it's still 1-2. And Robinson had that more toward the straightaway mark when it was initially hit. That wind blowing, it probably would have wrapped it right around the foul pole. One and 2 count on Brooks Robinson. He made a great play earlier on a hard smash up the third base side off the bat of Aspromonte. Brandt at second. Snyder was out at first. Here's the 2-strike pitch coming in. Let up on it and did miss by more than a hair there. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Bit too high in the opinion of the plate umpire, Stephen. Two balls and 2 strikes. Runners at first and second here with nobody out. Gerba to the stretch again, and the pitch coming in. Curve up over his head. Ball 3. 3-2. The on-deck man is Gentile. So this is a noisy point in today's game with these fans watching Gerba go to a 3-2 count on Robinson. Brandt maneuvers away from the bag at second. Snyder jumps out to a longer lead at first. So here's the 3-2 delivery coming in. Fastball swung on ground ball off of the third base side. Yost over to second for one, relay to first, and it's a wide toss away from Kluszewski. Tries to find the ball. The run scores. Robinson, meanwhile, stayed at first. The throw by Aspromonte will draw an error. It was down in the dirt. Kluszewski tried to make a swipe pickup of it. And as it went off his glove, high up in the air, it dropped behind him, and Klu wheeled around like a man in a revolving door trying to find that one. So it's going to be an error for Aspromonte. No RBI. Jackie Brandt came in to score. Snyder was forced at second base. As as Eddie Yost made the pickup of the ball to begin with, the ground ball, and got it to Aspromonte to force out Snyder. Here is Gentile. Here's a swing and a foul off behind the plate. The score now, the Angels 7, Baltimore 2 in the last half of the third. So Baltimore, here is Gentile. Here's a swing and a foul off behind the plate. The score now, the Angels 7, Baltimore 2 in the last half of the third. So Baltimore trying to chip away here at the Angel lead that at one time was 7-0. The Angels with 3 in the first and 4 in the second. Gentile had a base hit. Line one sharply to right field, leading off the second. One strike pitch to him. Slider by Gerba. Up a bit high. 1 ball and 1 strike. Brooks Robinson is on at first. With 1 out, and they pitch to Gentile. Ground ball off of the second base side. Aspromonte over to second for 1, and Brickell had the leap up over the sliding Brooks Robinson, so no possibility of the relay to first. They get the fourth play at second base. So Brooks Robinson forced out from the second baseman Aspromonte to the shortstop, Percy Brickell. Gentile reaches on a fielder's choice, and here is the catcher, Gus Friandos. At the end of 5 at Yankee Stadium, Minnesota nothing, and the Yankees nothing. Gus Friandos hit one right on the nose, but the wind held the ball up in left field in the second inning, and it was an easy catch for Bob Sir. Stretch taken by Gerba, and they pitch on the way to Trianos, down low and outside. Stopped by Rice to make it ball 1. One nothing count on Gus Trianos. Jim Gentile moving away from the bag at first. Curveball to Trianos, low and outside. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike. This fellow started out in the Yankee organization. And he's a big one. And a very likable one, too. 1 ball and 1 strike on Gus, and the delivery to the fastball swung on long, pulls deep out of the right field, breaking back for it, Albie Thurston. Back near the fence, he makes the catch to retire the side. Triandos gave one a tremendous ride, 375 feet away, but hauled down by Albie Thurston, and that's all she wrote in the third inning for the Orioles. 1 run, 1 hit, 1 error, and 1 man left. It's an earned run. And the score at the end of 3 full innings of play. This is Don Walsh with Bob Kelly and Steve Bailey. Our Los Angeles Angels 7 and the Baltimore Orioles 2.
Well, fans, this portion of the opening game of the new Los Angeles Angels is brought to you by Folgers Coffee, the top-selling coffee in the West. The Folger people asked me to tell you fans how happy they are to take part in bringing you these play-by-play broadcasts of all the Angels games throughout the 1961 season, both at home and on the road. And because a lot of you Angel fans are already Folgers coffee fans, this is our way of saying thanks for helping Folgers become #1 in coffee sales wherever it's sold. It's also Folgers' way of saying welcome from an old-timer in the West to a newcomer. We're sure the Angels will soon become a real Western tradition, just as Folgers coffee has become a Western tradition for over 100 years. So, from now until next fall, it's play ball with the Angels and with Folgers Coffee, the one coffee that's mountain-grown in the rich soil of the Highland air, where conditions are just right for growing coffee at its finest. Remember, when I say coffee, I mean Folgers. Now let's take a look at the scores of other games in progress. Milwaukee and St. Louis are scoreless at the end of 3. Broglio against Spawn. Cincinnati, Chicago, 1-1 at the end of 2.5. Hobby against O'Toole. For more play-by-play, the Angels leading 7-2 in the top of the 4th. Here is Bob Kelly.
Oh, thank you, Steve. And here's the Angel pitcher, Eli Gerba, a right-handed batter. Bunted into a forced play and a futile attempt to sacrifice in the second inning. Wes Stock, the third Baltimore pitcher, right-hander to the mound, works, and he tries to bunt this one, foul tips. A fastball in the dirt behind, strike 1. The score here at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland is the Angels 7 and the Baltimore Orioles 2. The Angels batting in the top half of the fourth inning. The Angel pitcher up here for the second time at bat this afternoon, Eli Gerber. On the mound for Baltimore. Works again, and the fastball is wide. So the count levels off here. Ball one and strike one. You cannot assume a double play in scoring, and thus Baltimore's run in the third inning was scored as an earned run. Now the next pitch, and it is high and outside. Ball two. The count to Gerber. Ball two, strike one. Stock pitched one inning prior to this one in the third. Hit a batter, but got out of that because of double play, so faced only 3 men. The Angels leading by a score of 7-2. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Swings a high fly to deep left field. Gene Stevens drifting way back, and he's got it way back near the screen. Back by the Baltimore bullpen. So Gerber put a lot of wood behind that one, and had it not been going right into a stiff wind, we'd have had the first home run hit by a pitcher in the American League this season. But it's only an out, 1 down, brings on the top of the Angel batting order. Third baseman Eddie Yost, 2 bats right. Yost popped the shortstop in the first inning, drew a walk in the second. He walked 26 times this spring in the exhibition games. So 1 out, nobody on here. The Angels lead 7-2. Stock the right-hander, winds and delivers, and the fastball is right down the pike. A close, strike one. They're shading Yost a little bit around to the right for a late swinger. The next pitch, fastball, right down there again for a called strike two. So Eddie's looked at a couple of good pitches. Red Crest coaching at third, Bob Elliott at first. 1 out, nobody on. 0-2 the count to Eddie Yost. Now, the next pitch. He swung on a change-up curve and missed it, strike 3. So Stock strikes out Eddie Yost on 3 pitches. 2 down and on for the Angels in the fourth inning. They scored 3 runs in the first, a 2-run homer by Kluszewski and a single homer by Serve, and got 4 runs in the second inning. The second inning, Pearson drove in a run with a single, and Kluszewski hit his second back-to-back homer with 2 on. Here's the wind-up of the pitch to Kenny Aspromatti, and he checked his swing and took one high. Kenny was called out on strikes in the first inning, hit into a forced play, robbed of a base hit, and a tremendous stop by the classy third baseman of the Birds, Brooks Robinson, in the second inning. Here's the ball one, no strike pitch, and it's wide, ball 2. The Minnesota Twins failed to score at the top of the 6th inning at Yankee Stadium after 5.5 there. It's Minnesota nothing and the Yankees nothing. Here at Baltimore, Los Angeles leading the Orioles 7-2. 2 outs and on to the top of the fourth inning, 2-0 the count here to Aspromatti. The next pitch, he looks for a good one, right over. Got that fast-breaking sinker pitch around the knees. Ball 2, strike 1. Shortstop Ronnie Hampson playing deep in the hole. Third baseman Robinson deep for third, close to the line. Swings the ground ball through the left field for a base hit. Right through the gap there, fielded by Stevens. Throws it to the shortstop. Hampson cuts off. And there's a run around here as Aspromatti gets the 5th Angel hit of the afternoon. And his first hit of the season. Rounds a sharp single between the shortstop Hampson and the third baseman Brooks Robinson, and that brings down little L.B. Pearson. The Mighty Mike walked on 4 pitches in the first inning, and he lined a single to center field in the second, so he has scored 2 runs and driven in 1. Pearson went down the line here to talk to the third base coach, Red Crest. So the Angels out in front here, 7-2, have a runner on first and Aspromatti. And the little left-handed batter, Albert Pearson, the right fielder, stands in. Stock, the right-hander of the mound for the Orioles. Stretches, looks at Aspromatti, pitches, and gets away from the catcher. Wild pitch or a pass ball, Aspromatti going down to second. rounds the bag, goes back in there, and I believe it will be charged as a pass ball against Grandos. A high fastball that got away from the catcher, so Aspromonte moves into scoring position. And they count to Albert Pearson, ball one. Well, Don, Steve, and I have received a wire from a good friend of ours, a popular Los Angeles disc jockey. Dick Whittier says we'll be carrying a small transistor around Lakeside. It's a big day for you guys. Make it live. Good luck, Whit. All right. Pearson stands in, and now with the stock taking a lot of time, Albert steps out the right back in. Pretty close to that plate, the little guy with a squared stance. Runner on second, 2 away here for the Angels. The stretch by Stock. The next pitch to Albie. Takes the good letter high fastball for a call. Strike one. Ball one and strike one. This is the start of a 13 games and 15 days road trip for the Angels. This 2-game series will wind up tomorrow night with a night game, which will be televised on KHJ TV Channel 9, as well as broadcast on this station. There's a change-up pitch and a call strike right into the knees. So Albie looks at the good one, ball one and strike two. After tomorrow night's game, we'll have a couple of days off. Then a single game in Boston Saturday afternoon, followed by a Sunday afternoon doubleheader at Boston against the Red Sox. 1-2, the count to Pearson. Aspromonte at second, 2 down. The next pitch is high and away. Fastball, ball 2, 2-2. Eddie Matthews hit a home run for the Braves in the bottom of the 4th inning off Ernie Broglio. And at the end of 4 in that game of the National League, Milwaukee leads the Cardinals 1-0. Aspromonte at second, 2 down here. Pearson, the batter, 2-2 the count. The stretch by Stock in the pitch. Swings a slow bouncer foul off the right side. Hit that one just off the skin of the knuckles. And the count holds it, ball 2 and strike 2. Following the weekend series of Boston, there'll be a Monday off. The Angels then play 3 straight day games against the Yankees at the Yankee Stadium. Then over to Detroit for 3 games, followed by a pair of night games against the White Sox in Chicago, and then for the big day at Wrigley Field, Los Angeles. American League Baseball arrives. The Angels and the Minnesota Twins. 2-2, the count here to Albie Pearson. West Stock into the stretch. Checks that runner, Aspromonte, with a good lead at second. The pitch. Way inside and low, and it almost got by Fernandez. So a full count on Pearson, ball 3, strike 2. Milt Pappas, the 15-game winner in each of the last 2 seasons, started for Baltimore, but was hit hard. His wildest and 2 home runs by Kluszewski and Serve's home run spelled his downfall. The Angels leading here by a score of 7-2. 3-2, the full count pitch coming up the stretch, and here it is. Swings, there's a high fly at the shallow right. Going back as the second baseman Breeding slided the right fielder in, and he makes the catch to retire the side. So in the 4th inning for the Angels, no runs, 1 hit, no errors. 1 man left on base after 3.5 innings of play. The score is Los Angeles 7 and Baltimore 2. Fans in the Republic of El Salvador, there's a city called San Vicente, famous for hot springs, geysers, and a volcano. On the slopes of this volcano, you can see vast orchards of delicate trees, each bearing its own rich bounty of coffee. Here is one of the world's outstanding areas for method-drawn coffee. And here is where coffee is being drawn for the Folger blend. Mount San Vicente is one of the many Folger mountains where the soil is rich and the highland air is pure and conditions are just right for growing coffee at its finest. Here, the coffee bean develops its deepest flavor. Throughout the world, there are other mountains like San Vicente with a special gift for growing coffee. There's Mount Fuego in Guatemala, Mount Irazu in Costa Rica, Mount Orizaba in Mexico, and Mount Mauna Loa in our new state, Hawaii. All growing coffee for the Folger blend. Premium mountain-grown coffee with deep flavor and rich aroma. That's why when I say coffee, I mean Folgers. Levi Gerber is ready to go to work here in the bottom of the 4th inning. The Angels starting pitcher has allowed 2 runs, 1 of them unearned, given up 3 hits. He has walked 2 batters, struck out nobody as yet, and Ronnie Henson, Baltimore is Rookie of the Year in the American League last year. Their fine shortstop and a right-handed batter steps in. Here's the windup by Eli, and the pitch. Swings on a second ball and fouls it into the dirt behind, rolling back to the backstop. Strike one. Hansen topped the ball and bounced out in front of the plate and was thrown out by pitcher Gerber. His first time at bat in the second inning. Now the windup of the next pitch to Hansen, and he takes a let-up pitch outside. Ball one and strike one. Hansen will be followed by Gene Stevens and Marv Beatty. Now the next pitch. Swings a slow bouncer down toward third. Yost charges it, grabs it, throws to Kluszewski, and he digs it out of the dirt to the out. So Hansen out of there. Third baseman Yost to first baseman Kluszewski as Eli keeping that ball down low. Got Hansen to top it. Billy Heft, softball, warming up in the Baltimore bullpen. And here is Gene Stevens. Big, tall, left-handed batting left fielder. Walked in the second inning. Gerber, the right-hander, winds and delivers. And it's a fastball a little high and getting away from the catcher, Del Rice. Ball one. We received a lot of wires here on our broadcast. Congratulations on opening day, coming in loud and clear in the great San Joaquin Valley. Signed, Mr. Bill Sinclair, General Manager of KNGS Radio in Hanford. Ball one, the count here. One out, nobody on. Stevens waits the next pitch. He swings late on a fastball as Gerber threw his fastest pitch of the afternoon. And Stevens swung away late on it. Ball one in, strike one. Marv Breeding, the second baseman of the Orioles, on deck. Here's Gerber's next pitch, and it's a let-up pitch, low and inside for ball two. Third baseman Eddie Yost is playing up on the corner of the grass. The outfield is fairly straight, shaded just slightly to the right, playing Stevens as a pull hitter, but not too much. 2-1 the count. The next pitch to him. And he arches away from an inside pitch down by the kneecaps. Ball three, 3-1. The score of the Los Angeles Angels 7 and the Baltimore Orioles 2. The Angels scored 3 in the first, 4 in the second. Baltimore got 1 in the second and 1 in the third. 3-1 the count here with 1 out, nobody on for the Orioles. So Gerber behind in the count. Pops, kicks, pitches, and he walks him high and outside. Ball 4. Let's pause now for station identification. This is the Golden West Radio Network.
This is Action Radio, KMPC, Los Angeles. And this is Johnny Grant reminding you that for good music and complete traffic information, it's the Freeway Club every afternoon on KMPC, 710 on everybody's dial.
Along with Don Wells and Steve Bailey from Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland. Opening day of the 1961 American League Baseball season for the Los Angeles Angels and the Baltimore Orioles. Stepping to the batter's box is the right-handed batting second baseman of the Orioles, Marv Breeding, with a runner on first and one away. Here's Gerber's pitch. Swings a high pop-up behind first base. Astromonti moving over near the line, and he's got it to the out in fair territory by a couple of feet back on the outfield grass and short right. Stevens sliding back into first base, and there's 2 down. The pitcher's due up here. That walk given up to Stevens was the third pass yielded this afternoon by Eli Gerber. And we're looking for a pinch batter to come out here. Bob Allison, one of the big sluggers, will be appearing with the Minnesota Twins on opening day at Wrigley Field, April the 27th. Has hit a home run in the top of the 7th inning for Minnesota off Whitey Ford to give Minnesota at least a 1-0 lead in the top of the 7th inning. Earl Robinson coming to bat. Earl Robinson coming up here to bat for the pitcher, Wes Stott. With 2 down, the Angels leading 7-2, a runner on first in the bottom of the 4th inning. Here's the pitch to Robinson, and he checks his way and takes the good one. Fast-breaking pitch right in there for a call, strike one. Robinson's the fellow that you may recall out there on the coast. He was signed for one of the largest bonuses in Dodger history. He was purchased from the Dodgers This past December, right-handed batter standing in, strike one the count. Gerber works again. The limit pitch is a little outside, waist high. Ball, and the count levels. At ball one and strike one. This is the second pitch batter that has appeared up here this afternoon for Baltimore. Billy batted to the pitcher in the second inning and popped up. Now the stretch. The 1-1 pitch to Robinson. Swings a high fly out to center field. Hunt started back, moved right into his original position, and he's got it to the out to retire the side. Robinson flies to Hunt. And in the fourth inning for the Birds, no runs, no hits, no errors, one man left on base. At the end of four, the score, the Angels 7 and the Orioles 2.
When today's first ball was pitched, baseball's most historic event of more than a half a century was created. Los Angeles in the American League. But that's only half the story. Even greater will be the red carpet day of all days, when American League Baseball comes to Los Angeles at Wrigley Field on Thursday afternoon, April 27th, against sluggers Harmon Killebrew, Jim Lemon, Bob Allison, and the Minnesota Twins. And now your red carpet to enjoy real baseball at its best with Angel season tickets becomes a reality. There are tickets for the Daylight 21 and Weekender plans. Get them now for the exciting action you'll want to see at easy-to-reach Wrigley Field, where it's comfortable and every seat is a good one. Either write or phone Wrigley Field or visit the park in person for your ticket. The address is 435 East 42nd Place. The telephone, Adams 24761. And for tops and convenience, use the easy-to-pay method, your Bank AmeriCard. Well, the Angels come to bat here in the fifth inning against the fourth pitcher used by Baltimore, Billy Heft. I'd like to check over the scores there if you hand them to me, Don. They have a convertible in the outfield that brings the relief pitchers in, and since Heft is now just walking toward the mound to take his warm-up pitches, it gives us an opportunity to check the scores of other games. Bob Allison's home run in the top of the seventh inning broke a scoreless tie, and Minnesota is out in front of the Yankees at least 1-0, fighting for it against Pete Ramos. Cleveland leads Detroit 7-2 after 5.5. Jim Perry started for Cleveland. Jim Benning started for Detroit. Regan in the second, Donahue in the sixth. Kansas City leads Boston 2-1 after 3.5. Ray Herbert against Bill Monbouquet. In the National League, there are 3 openers this afternoon and 1 tonight. In the games in progress, Cincinnati leads Chicago 4-1 after 3.5. Hobby against O'Toole. Home runs by Robinson, Rogers, and Post. Post hit his with 2 on. Milwaukee leads St. Louis 1-0 at the end of 4.5. Eddie Matthews hit a home run off Ernie Broglio in the fourth inning. Warren Spahn pitching for Milwaukee. Pittsburgh and San Francisco play this afternoon. The Dodgers and Phillies tonight. All right, here's Kel.
Here's the fourth Baltimore pitcher of the day, left-hander Billy Heft. And he will face Ted Kluszewski, who has had 2 home runs, mighty blast into the right field stands, accounting for 5 RBI this afternoon. So the Angels lead 7-2, and a left-hander, Billy Heft, now on the mound for Baltimore. And some dust got into the eyes of the batter, Kluszewski, as that wind swirls up that dirt from the skin part of the diamond. All right, Heft into his windup. Here's the pitch to Big Klue. That fooled him. 3-quarter delivery curveball breaking right over the heart of the plate. He backed away, and it was a good pitch. A call, strike one to Kluszewski. Fourth man in the Angel batting order here in the top of the fifth inning. Kluszewski will be followed by Bob Serve and Kenny Hunt. Now the windup of the next pitch. Swings a slow bouncer to the left side. Slice down to Brooks Robinson. Makes the play easily over to Gentile to the out. Robinson to Gentile, third to first, 1 down. Well, they finally got Big Klue out of there. Here's Bob Serve, who hit his 96th home run of his career. Needs just 4 more to reach the 100 mark in home runs. Hit that one with nobody on to the first, struck out of the second. A right-handed batter. The southpaw, Heft works, and the pitch is a called strike on the outside corner just above the knees. 1 out, nobody on. The Angels at bat here, top of the fifth inning, at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland. They're playing third for a straightaway hitter, and the infield is very deep for him. The ex-Yankee slugger. Now Heft lines and pitches again. That one hit the dirt before it reached the plate. Very low. Ball one, and strike one. Epps was not afforded too much of an opportunity to work often last year. Here's the next pitch to serve. Oh, he swung on that let-up pitch and missed it. Billy Hepp really pulled the chain on that one, and it's ball 1 and strike 2 to serve. The Angels got 3 runs in the first inning, all produced on home runs, and 4 in the second, 3 of them on Kluszewski's second homer. Baltimore getting an unearned run in the second, adding another one in the third. Now the pitch to serve. Strike 3 swinging on a fastball. It struck him out. So 2 outs, none on, and that brings on the Angels center fielder, Kenny Hunt. Drafted from the New York Yankees. He batted .273 last year at Richmond. Walked in the first inning today, was hit by a pitch ball in the third. So this is his first official time at bat. Hepp, the left-hander, ready to work to this right-handed batter. Hunt swings on a curveball and misses it. Strike 1. 2 outs, done on. The infield and outfield back and straight away. Hepp into his lineup. A fastball is low and inside. Ball 1, the count levels at ball 1 and strike 1. Little Albie Pearson's done a good job today. Drove in a run. Also got a walk. Albie's playing in his 300th Major League game. Now the windup and the next pitch, the 1-1 pitch to Hunt. Lets up and takes the pitch low. He started to swing, checked it. A low changeup pitch. Ball 2, strike 1 here to Kenny Hunt. They're shading him a little bit around to the right for a late swinger. That's because of the wind, which is very strong from the left field corner over toward the right field corner. Now the 2-1 pitch to Kenny. Swings, there's a high fly and into shallow right center. Reading the second baseman going back, the right fielder coming in. A collision there, but it's an out. As the right fielder, Snyder, collided with Reading. Hunt went all the way around to third base, but the ball was caught out there. I think it was caught by Reading, the second baseman. So that retires the side, 3 up to 3 down in the 5th inning for the Angels. Nothing across after 4.5 innings. The score remains Los Angeles 7 and Baltimore 2.
Fans, if you would like to increase your baseball IQ, listen to this special offer from Folgers Coffee. For only 25 cents and a Folger label, you can get an amazing device that will answer just about any baseball question you can think of. And this is called the Ball of Fame. It was invented by the famous first baseman Dave Dahlgren, who figured out a way to store up thousands of baseball facts in a cleverly constructed dial. That's right, you simply ask the question and then dial yourself the answer in a matter of seconds. The Ball of Fame has all the facts about most valuable players, no-hit games, champion base stealers, park dimensions, you name it. And send for yours by writing to Folgers Ball of Fame, Box 60, Box 60, Los Angeles 51, California. Enclose 25 cents and an instant Folgers label, or 25 cents and the last inch from a Folgers unwinding band. The address again, Folgers Ball of Fame, Box 60, Los Angeles 51, California. Please allow a week for delivery. And fans, remember, when I say coffee, I mean Folgers.
Eli Gerber ready to face the top of the Baltimore batting order here in the last half of the 5th inning. It will be Jackie Brandt, Russ Snyder, Brooks Robinson. Gerber in 4 innings has allowed 2 runs, 1 of them unearned, given up 3 hits and walked 3 batters. Now Brandt steps out of the batter's box as the big gust of wind swept through. Now he's back in, a right-handed batter. Here's Gerber's pitch to him, and it's a little wide at the waist. Ball 1. Brandt has 2 for 2 today. Both of them singles to left field. Pulled that ball in the first and third innings. Shortstop Raquel playing very deep, but yoked up a bit, even with the bag, and there's a curveball right in there, just above the knees. He looked at a good pitch. Count levels here, ball 1 and strike 1 on Jackie Brandt, the Baltimore center fielder. The score, the Angels 7 and the Orioles 2 in the last of the 5th inning. Now the pitch, an overhand curve that really fooled him right in there. He ducked away, and that ball really broke. That would have rolled right off the tabletop, and the count is ball 1 and strike 2. Nobody on, nobody out for the Orioles, last half of the 5th inning.
Gerber out in front for the count. Delivers. Strike 3 called. He lifted a good one. Fast breaking curve right over the outer half of the plate. Waist high. And there is Eli Gerber's first strikeout of the day and the season. Well, one out for the Orioles here in the last of the 5th inning. And it brings on the left-handed batting right fielder Russ Snyder. Hit into a fourth play on a grounder dash for Monty in the 1st inning and walked in the 3rd. So he's 0 for 1 today. Batted .260 for Kansas City last year. Gerber works. Strike called. He ducked away from what he thought was an inside pitch, but let her high right over the inside corner. 1 out and on. Strike 1 the count. Gerber's next pitch. Strike called. Another big breaking curveball. Waist high, right in there. Good pitch. So Snyder's looked at a couple of good ones there, and Gerber has the big edge on him in the count. 0-2. On deck is Brooks Robinson. Here's Gerber's next pitch. He wasted a fastball, and it wasn't too wide, just a little outside. 0-1, strike 2. Playing Snyder for a straightaway hitter. Now the pitch, a let-up pitch, way outside, low ball 2, 2-2. Rice stepping out in front of the plate. Catcher Del Rice hollering something to Eli. Gerber before today had pitched only 3 innings against Baltimore. He shakes off 2 signs from Rice. Now he's ready for the 2-2 delivery, and here it is. Swings a line drive down the right field line, foul. Right in the corner of the box seats. So the count holds at 2-2. Time for the world's shortest commercial. Listen carefully. When I say coffee, I mean Folgers. So the count holds at ball 2, strike 2 on the Baltimore right fielder, Russ Snyder. In tomorrow night's game here, which will be telecast as well as radio broadcast on this station, we'll see Baltimore's fine young left-hander, Steve Barber, going against the veteran right-hander, Ned Garber, for the Angels. Here's the windup again in the 2-2 pitch. Swing, the ball sliced out to left field. Serve getting over, and he's there. Just had to take a few steps. So Snyder out on a high liner would serve the left fielder of the Angels, caught over in left center. 2 outs and on, and the batter is the third baseman for Baltimore, Brooks Robinson. Robbie grounded into a double play in the 1st inning, hit into a 4th play in the 3rd. Gerber, the right-hander, kicks and delivers. Fastball swung on a fly ball out to deep right center. Hunt going way back, and he can't get it. Over his head. He misjudged a little bit. There's the batter going into second base, standing up, a 2-base hit. Hunt had a lot of room out there, and Pearson was shouting at him. But Hunt started to stopped on the ball, and it dropped over his head and rolls to the screen for a 2-base hit. It was misjudged by the Angels center fielder, Hunt. And it goes as a double for Robinson and brings up Jim Gentile. So there is Baltimore's first extra base hit of the day. Gentile, who is singled and hit into a force play, comes to bat. First baseman, left-handed batter, hit .292 last year. Dangerous man, hit 21 homers and drove in 96 runs. Here's the first pitch to him. Swings at a high fly ball out into short center field. Raquel Astamati, Hunt all back there. Raquel, the shortstop, takes it in. That retires the side. 5th inning, Baltimore. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 man left on base. And the Orioles have stranded 5. We move into the 6th with the score. The Angels 7, Baltimore 2. Today, Brazil is the land of boom towns. In the state of Paraná, Brazil, the towns are teeming with people. It's almost like the California gold rush, in fact. But in Paraná, Brazil, it's not gold they're after. This is coffee. Here in this pioneer land, the fertile soil has made possible a great industry. Millions of young, vigorous coffee trees have been planted, and sprawling plantations cover the valleys and hills. In this land of rich soil and clean air, the yield is big, and the coffee beans are deep-flavored and pure. Coffee beans like those from Paraná are blended to create instant Folgers coffee. The one instant coffee people drink for a reason other than convenience alone. and that reason is flavor. Instant Folgers coffee, a modern achievement in flavor and the result of over a century of experience in blending and roasting fine coffee. Rich, deep-flavored coffee beans like those grown in Paraná, Brazil. Another reason why, when I say instant coffee, I mean Instant Folgers.
At Yankee Stadium in New York, the Minnesota Twins have knocked Whitey Ford out of the box in the 7th inning. They're still batting. We know they have at least one run in on Bob Allison's home run. And Terry has come on to pitch in the 7th inning for the Yankees. Here it is Fritz Burkell. The little shortstop of the Angels, a right-handed batter, standing here. The left-hander, Billy Heft, going into this double pumping motion. Delivers. Sidearm pitch is a strike. Catches the outer half of the plate. Midway between the belt and knees for this little fella. Burkell, a 5 foot 5.5 inch, stockily built shortstop. He's gone 0 for 2, popped the short, hit into a double play. The next pitch to him. Checks his swing on a wide fastball. For ball one, the count levels here at ball 1 and strike 1. And they score here at Baltimore. The Los Angeles Angels in their first game in the American League. Leading Baltimore 7-2 in the top of the 6th. Now the pitch to Burkell. That's a let-up pitch high and away from him. Ball 2, 2-1. Heft set the Angels down in order. Their middle 3 in the 5th inning, now facing the tail end of the batting order in the top of the 6th. Has a 2-1 count on Fritz Burkell. Here's Heft winding, delivers. Swings late on a fastball and misses. Strike 2, 2-2. Billy Heft did most of his major league pitching for the Detroit Tigers from 1952 to 1959 when he was traded to Boston and to Baltimore. Played with 3 clubs in 59. Here's the 2-2 pitch to Burkell, and it's high and away. Ball 3 at a full count, 3-2. Nobody on and nobody out for the Los Angeles Angels in the top of the 6th inning. Angels getting off to a big early lead. 3 runs in the first and 4 in the second. The next pitch swings. There's a ground ball, and it's by the shortstop going out to left field for a base hit. Fielded by left fielder Stevens. Throws in here to Ronnie Hansen, and it's a single for Fritz Burkell. So there's his first hit of the season. The first hit off Billy Heft. The Angels' 6th hit of the ball game. The Orioles have 4 hits, and the batter now is the Angel catcher, Dell Wright. Dell walked in the second, flied to left field in the third. That's right. The left-hander, Heft looks at the runner. There's a bunted ball down to the right side. Pitcher gets it, looks to second, and throws to Gentile at first to be out of sacrifice for Rice. Moving Fritzy Burkell over to second base. So a 1-3 on the putout. Pitcher Heft to the first baseman, Jim Gentile. And now that brings on the Angel pitcher, Eli Gerba. Right-handed batter. Failed in an attempt to sacrifice the second inning and flied very deep to Stevens in left field of the 4th. The runner on second is Burkell. Here's the pitch. Bunts the ball to the right side. The pitcher gets it, and he's going to first, and he is out. So another sacrifice bunt moves Burkell around to third base and brings the top of the batting order up Eddie Yost. So on both those sacrifice bunts, Heft, the pitcher fielded through to Gentile at first. Eddie Yost up here popped the short, walked to the second inning, and struck out swinging in the 4th. The Angels have a runner at third, 2 away, and they lead here by a score of 7-2 as they really flex their muscles in the first and second innings. Kluszewski and Serve homered in the first. Kluszewski a 3-run homer in the second. Eddie holds the swing, takes the fastball, low and inside, ball 1. Minnesota came up with 3 runs in the top of the 7th, knocking Whitey Ford out of the box, and the Twins lead the Yankees 3-0. Here's Heft's windup and pitch to Yost, and it's in there. Slider for a call strike. The count on Eddie levels at ball 1 and strike 1. Yost, who batted .260 last year. Fritzy Burkell over on third. Now the left-hander Heft works again, and a fastball's a little high and tight to him. Ball 2, strike 1. on third. 2 down. Now the pitch. A let-up pitch and a good one. Eddie looks on in the outside corner, waist high. Ball 2, strike 2. Walking into our Golden West Broadcasting booth up here at Memorial Stadium, one of our sponsors, Mr. Joe Greasedick, president of the Falstaff Brewing Company. Here's a strike 3. This is a good one. Good ball in there at the lead. So that retires the side of the 6th inning for the Angels. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 left out at the end of 5 1/2. The score remains Los Angeles 7 and the Baltimore Orioles 2. It's the Angels 7 and the Orioles 2. Opening day at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland. Cold and windy. Here's Govern's next pitch. Change-up curve ball inside. Took something off that one. Ball 1 and strike 1. Triandos will be followed by the shortstop, Ronnie Hanson, and then the left fielder, Gene Stevens. Gerber's next pitch is a little high outside. Ball 2, 2-1. Gerber's been in there since the start. Pitched 5 innings. Has allowed but 2 runs. 1 of those was unearned. He's given up 4 hits, walked 3 batters, and struck out 1. All right, Eli ready for the 2-1 delivery to Triandos. Swings a high pop-up over near second base. Astomati waiting for it just to the right of the bag. In the well, 1 away. You know, Baltimore finished second to the Yankees last year by 8 games, but it was around the 15th of September, I believe, that they were only a half game off the pace. And then they went into that tragic experience of moving into Yankee Stadium and seeing the Bronx Bombers sweep 4 games. All right, 1 out here, none on, and the fine shortstop, Ronnie Hanson, stepped in. But then as the wind blew up, he moved out of the batter's box. Ronnie is grounded out twice to the pitcher and to the third baseman, Eddie Yost. Gerber into the windup, delivers. Fastball slant. A bouncer right at Brickell, the shortstop. Takes on a big handle on the second hop. Over to Klue. Plenty of time. 2 down here for the Orioles in the 6th. Few schedules give one club the opportunity to take a quick, firm lead in the pennant race that is offered the Orioles. For during the first month's play, 20 of 27 Baltimore games are against what are designated by the experts as second division clubs. Here's Gene Stevens. He's walked twice. Gained fame as Ted Williams' old caddy with the Red Sox. Angels lead here, 7-2 in the last of the 6th. Here's the pitch to Stevens. Takes low, ball 1. Total so far, the Angels 7 runs, 6 hits, 3 errors. Baltimore 2 runs, 4 hits, and no errors committed. Ball 1, no strikes count. Gerber cranks, delivers, swings. There's a hard smash to right field for a base hit between Astomati and Kluszewski, fielded by Pearson. Stevens makes his turn, wheels back into first base with a single, and there's hit number 5 for the Orioles. Here's the second baseman, Marv Breeding, up to bat. Manager Paul Richards describes this fellow as somebody that the opposition never raves about, but after a ball game are usually completely distraught because he does so much to hurt them in the late innings. Right-handed batter. The pitch down to the dirt, gets away from the catcher. There goes the runner to second base. The ball is retrieved by the pitcher as Del Rice couldn't find it. It's a wild pitch charged against Gerber, and Stevens moves in a scoring position. And the count on the batter, Marv Breeding, ball 1. That one got away, down in the dirt. Should Breeding get on base there, I believe Sarkisian is going to bat for a bit of half the pitcher. Art Wilhelm, the old knuckleballer, warming up for the Baltimore bullpen. Now the stretch. Here's the next pitch to Breeding. Try to check his swing and a foul ball. Now stops front of the plate after hitting the batter. The count is ball 1 and strike 1. Gene Stevens on second, 2 out here for the Birds in the last of the 6th inning. It wasn't the Birds, but it was the Angels who were really flapping their wings in the first couple innings out here this afternoon. Now the stretch, 1-1 the count. The pitch. Strike. A good fastball in the inside corner, let it high. So Eli Gerber has the edge. Ball 1 and strike 2 on Marv Breeding. Pitchers at San Francisco, we have now Bob Prim for the Pirates and Sad Sam Jones for San Francisco. No scores yet on that one. Here it's the Angels leading the Orioles 7-2. Baltimore with Stevens on second, 2 down. 1-2 the count on Breeding. The stretch by Gerber. The pitch. Curveball high and inside. Ball 2. 2-2. Gerber, who prior to today had faced the Baltimore Orioles in only 3 innings in his major league career. In 5 2/3 innings here, has given up 2 runs thus far and only 5 hits. Now the stretch. 2-2 the count to Breeding. Here it comes. Swings, there's a high fly ball out the left field corner. Chased by third, Raquel, and Yost, and it is out of play into the lower box seats. So the count holds at ball 2 and strike 2. Incidentally, Ronnie Klein, the former Pittsburgh right-hander, was purchased last night by the Angels for an unannounced amount of cash from the St. Louis Cardinals. Ron incidentally pitched for Angel general manager Fred Haney when the latter was manager of the Pirates. And Klein reported this morning and is in uniform. So the Angels acquired some new ball players here lately. Another pitcher, Ray Semplak, and of course their shortstop starting in the season opener today, Fritzy Brickell. 2-2 the count here on Breeding. Stevens, who after 2 down, singled and took second on a wild pitch, takes his lead. Now the pitch. Strike 3, swinging to retire the side. Got him in a big bending curveball. That's the second strikeout for Eli Gerber, and at the end of 6 innings of play, after Baltimore failed to score on 1 run and left 1 stranded, for a total of 6 stranded, it is the Los Angeles Angels 7 and the Baltimore Orioles 2.
Well, today's the beginning of the big league season, and for a lot of you fans, there's a great opportunity for a new beginning in filter smoking. Until now, you had only 2 choices in filter cigarettes, those that had the filter you wanted, or the others that had good-tasting blends. Naturally, you wanted both, the filter and the right taste. And today you can get both combined in one cigarette, Viceroy. Viceroy's got it at both ends. Got the filter, got the blend. Deep weave filter, first of the modern filters. The perfect filter for Viceroy's deep cured blend. Remember, some cigarettes give you the filter you want, others a good tasting blend. But only Viceroy's got it at both ends. Deep weave filter, deep cured blend. They go together. So fans, start the season off right. Smoke Viceroy.
They go together, the deep weed filter and the deep cured blend. Viceroy's got it at both ends.
Well, now that you Angel fans have taken your 7th inning stretch, let's go back to play. Los Angeles leading 7-2. Ken Aspromonte leads off, and here's Don Well.
Thank you, Steve-O. Second baseman Ken Aspromonte will lead off here against the left-hander Billy Heft. Well, 2 of the happiest people in the ballpark today are seated right down below us, Gene Autry and Bob Reynolds. And they're really happy that the Angels picked up 3 in the first and 4 in the second and lead here 7-2 as we start the 7th inning. Lou Johnson ran down into the bullpen area, and that is beyond the wire fence line in right field, so the Lou waiting for them to open the gate down there. Play is held up momentarily. Aspromonte stepping in now. Ken has 1 hit, 3 times at bat, scored a run in the second inning. And facing the 4th Baltimore pitcher of the afternoon, Billy Heft. Pitch swung on, foul, back on the screen, strike 1. Heft to throws a screwball. I've noticed that in the few pitches that he's shown us this afternoon. The Minnesota Twins 3, the New York Yankees nothing at the end of 7. The Cleveland Indians 7, the Detroit Tigers 5 at the end of 7. Bubba Phillips just popped a homer for Cleveland, however, in the 8th with a man on, so they have expanded their lead now to 9-5 at least. That is Cleveland's lead. Here's the 1-strike offering by Heft, and it's low and close, 1 ball and 1 strike. Kansas City 2, Boston 1 at the end of 5. In the National League, Cincinnati 7, the Cubs 1, that game in the last half of the 6th. Milwaukee 1, St. Louis nothing at the end of 6. Pitch again, low close, ball 2, and it's 2-1. Ken Aspromonte, Albie Pearson, and Ted Kluszewski will come up here. First half of the 7th inning, the Angels lead 7-2. The motion again by Heft, and the pitch swung on. High fly ball left into the wind out in left field. Coming off of the ball is Stevens, going out for it, Hansen, and the shortstop, Ronnie Hansen, caught it fair. Took it by about a foot inside the line, well down the foul line. Now for station identification. This is the Golden West Radio Network.
This is KMPC 50,000 watts Los Angeles. And this is Dick Whittinghill suggesting you stay tuned to the only radio station with 2 Airwatch helicopters, one of them co-piloted by a dog. Action Radio at 7:10 on everybody's dial.
Lou Albee steps into the batter's box. Albee walked and scored in the first, single, drove in a run, and scored a run in the second. Pitch to him now, and he ran up on it, tried to bunt it. He had to bluff it, and he took a good pitch for a strike. And Albee then flied out in the fourth inning to retire the side. Robinson pulled in from third as Pearson had run up on that pitch by Billy Heft. Now with 1 strike on him, the let-up by Billy, right in there for strike to make it 0-2. 1 out with nobody on. Start of a 13 games in 15 days road trip for the Angels. Here's the 2-strike pitch coming in. Pearson takes up a bit high, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. So this 2-game series winds up tomorrow night with a night game, followed by 2 days off. Then we'll have a single game in Boston Saturday, followed by a Sunday doubleheader. Then we'll play 3 straight day games in New York. Pitch to Pearson, strike 3 called. Nice side-on delivery by Billy Heft that caught Pearson leading away from the plate. So Albee is called on strikes. Now there are 2 out in the 7th. Here's the first baseman, Ted Kluszewski. Klu hit a 2-run homer in the first inning, hit a 3-run homer in the second, and then bounced out to third baseman Brooks Robinson leading off the 5th. Billy Heft, the left-hander, works to Kluszewski. The motion going and the pitch on the way. Klu swings, little pop-up off of the right side. Second baseman Marv Breeding calling for this. On the dirt surface of the infield, midway between first and second, makes the catch to retire the side. Klu banged that one right off the handle. 3 up and 3 down in the 7th inning, and with nothing across, the score at the end of the first half of the 7th are Los Angeles Angels 7 and the Baltimore Orioles 2.
Take a clean, pure sound. Take a rich, mellow sound. They go together. They go together. Pure and rich. They go together like the deep weave filter and the deep cured blend.
Go together, the deep weave filter and the Viceroy blend. Go together, they go together. Viceroy's got it at both ends.
Sure, some cigarettes tell you they've got the filter. Others, the blend. But Viceroy's got it at both ends. Got the deep weave filter and the deep cured blend. Deep weave filter, the perfect filter to go with Viceroy's deep cured blend.
They go together, the deep weave filter and the deep cured blend. Viceroy's got it at both ends.
Yes, sir. Viceroy's got it at both ends. Got the filter, got the blend. A great smoke. Get Viceroy. Chuck Kastajian comes up here to bat for the pitcher, Billy Heft. The Orioles have been granted a 30-day extension on their conditional purchase agreement on Kastajian. If he fails to make the Baltimore roster, and apparently he's going to make it here, but they still have the 30-day extension. If he should fail to make the Baltimore roster, he will be returned to the Los Angeles Dodgers Spokane club. Chuck Kastajian, right-handed batter. Quite a man for the Dodgers in the 59 World Series in a pinch hitting role on a couple of occasions. Hit 2 distance jobs. Curveball swung on. Here's a high pop-up back of the mound. Coming over for it, Julio Becerra, who just came in to play first, and Becerra makes the catch. 1 out. So Julio Becerra in there in place of Ted Kluszewski. And Julio responsible for the first putout here in the Baltimore half of the 7th inning. The Minnesota Twins came up with 2 more runs in the 8th inning on a 2-run homer by Reno Bertoia. And they lead 5-0 over the Yankees. New York batting in the last half of the 8th. That homer off Ralph Terry. Here's center fielder Jackie Brandt. Stepping in there now. 1 out. Donahan. Angels lead 7-2. Big motion by Gerber. The pitch low and outside for ball 1. So the Angels have scored 7 runs on a half dozen hits. Baltimore with 2 runs on 5 hits. The pitch by Eli. Right in there, strike call to make it 1-1. 3 times today, manager Paul Richards has gone to the bench. Dave Philly, Earl Robinson, and Chuck Kosigian. And Gerba has disposed of all of them. High floating curve and a swing and a foul off this. Back up on the screen. And it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Well, it's been on the cold side and cloudy out here at Memorial Stadium today, but that's the kind of weather that puts players on their toes and the kind of weather when it's good to sit back and light up a Viceroy as you enjoy this ball game today here in the last half of the 7th inning. 2-strike delivery coming in now. Sidearm pitch off the inside edge of the plate to make it 2 balls, 2 strikes. Gerba with a 2-strike offering again. Fed one in there that apparently was up a bit too high. Count is shown on the board out there and indicated now that it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. So it's an even count shown on Brandt. 1 out here with nobody on. Gerba has been terrific. He's scattered around 5 hits. Oh, let's see. It is shown now. Full count, 3-2. Plate umpire Stevens just stepped around to the right side of the plate. Now they've made the correction on the board. So this...
Number 8, Snyder.
Russ Snyder has been up 3 times. Reached on a fielder's choice in the 1st inning. Walked in the 3rd. Flat out in the 5th. Curveball, swing and a bounding ball right back by Gerba. Base hit into center field. So with 2 out in the 7th inning, that is hit number 6. He gave up a single to Brandt in the 1st, single to Gentile in the 2nd, single to Brandt in the 3rd. The only extra base hit, a double by Robinson in the 5th, single by Stevens in the 6th, single by Snyder here in the 7th. 37,352. That's the official paid attendance. 37,352 at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. Brooks Robinson. 1 hit, 3 times at bat, and the pitch to the right hand is swung on. Here's a high pop-up on the 3rd base side. Eddie Yost coming outside the line, getting on it now. Yost makes the catch, and that retires the side. So in the 7th inning, no runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 left. Score at the end of 7. The Angels 7, Baltimore 2.
Well, it started today. The Angels on a march that in time can lead to a World Series. It's Major League Baseball, American League Baseball, the best, naturally. And the Angels are in the thick of the excitement. They'll be home on Thursday, April the 27th, for the history-making inaugural of American League Baseball in Wrigley Field, when they play the Minnesota Twins, the slugging stars Bob Allison, Harm Killebrew, and Jim Lemon. But first on the road, the Orioles, then from here to Boston to the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Tigers and the White Sox in Chicago, and then the day of days in easy-to-reach Wrigley Field. Ensure yourself now of all the thrills of this never-to-be-forgotten day. You just won't be in style if you're not there. By ordering your comfortable seats with that right before your eyes close-up view. Remember, you can make it easy on yourself with a Bank Americard for tickets. Call, write, or visit Wrigley Field. The address, 435 East 42nd Place. The phone number, Adams 24761. Now running down the scoreboard at the end of 8 at Yankee Stadium, Minnesota now leads the Yankees 5-0. Rene Batoy had a 2-run homer in the 8th inning. And at the end of 8 innings at Detroit, the score there, the Cleveland Indians are leading the Detroit Tigers 9-5. And at the end of 6 at Boston, the Kansas City Athletics leading the Boston Red Sox 4-1. In the bottom of the 7th inning, of course, or rather at the end of 7 innings, here at Baltimore, it's 7-2. The Angels over the Baltimore Orioles. In the National League, in the last of the 7th inning, Cincinnati Reds lead the Chicago Cubs 7-1. O'Toole all the way thus far for Cincinnati. And at the bottom of the 7th inning at Milwaukee, the Braves lead the Cardinals 1-0 on Eddie Matthews. 4th inning home run off Ernie Broglio. Warren Spahn has pitched shutout ball for 7 frames at the Cardinals. Pittsburgh failed to score on the top of the inning at Candlestick Park. So it's the Pirates nothing and the Giants nothing there. Bob Friend against Bad Sam Jones. And the Phillies and the Dodgers tonight at the Coliseum. All right, we have a new pitcher as the Angels come to bat here in the top of the seventh inning and serve the batter and tell you about it again, Don Wells.
Floyd Wilhelm is the new pitcher. So we have the oversized mitt now. The catcher's mitt being used by Gus Priandis, this mammoth thing, this mammoth hunk of leather that they use for the Wilhelm knuckleball. And the leadoff man for the Angels will be left fielder Bob Cerv. Pete Ramos, who never has too much in the way of success with the Yankees, he has them shut out for 8 innings. That's quite a job today at Yankee Stadium. Swing on the knuckler and a miss for strike one. Wilhelm is sometimes referred to as tilt. He has a cast in one eye, and he leans that head to one side to get that sign, but you can just about figure what he's going to throw anyway. And the next one bites down in the dirt, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Also called the dancer because of his very elusive knuckler. In the 60 season, he wound up winning 11 and losing 8. 3.31 earned run mark. Swing on the knuckleball. Long shot, but foul down the left field line. Serve. Smiling now as he steps back to the plate. Conversation with Gus Triandos. Bob hit a homer in the first inning. A long poke 400 feet away over the fence out in right center field. Struck out in the second, struck out again in the fifth. Here a 1 ball, 2 strike count. The 8th inning getting underway, and the Angels lead 7-2. And the next pitch is swung on. There's a high, shallow fly ball out in right field. Moving on towards Snyder. Drifting back a bit now as the wind caught that ball. And he puts it away. So Bob Cerv flies to Russ Snyder in right. 1 out of the 8th inning. Coming up, the center fielder, Ken Hunt. Wilhelm saw service both as a starter and a reliever in the 60 season. Pitched to Kenny Hunt in close, ball 1. Ken today has been up there 3 times, walked in the first, hit by a pitch in the third, popped out in the 5th. The motion, the pitch. Knuckles right in there, strike. The flutter ball, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Richard sometimes refers to Wilhelm as Dr. Hoyt and his traveling medicine show, and he puts on quite a show with that knuckleball. Here's a swing over it and a miss. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 6 feet tall, 190 pounds. Started out his organized baseball career in 1942. Originally with the Giants. The knuckles low and outside, ball 2, and it's 2-2. He had a great year with the Giants in 1952 when he won 15 games, lost only 3, and had an earned run mark of 2.43. Wilhelm 2-2 on Hunt, and the pitch swung on. There's a pop-up on the left side. Third baseman Brooks Robinson makes the call. Midway between second and third, makes the catch. Now there are 2 out of the 8th inning. Here is Fritz Brickell. Popped out in the first inning, hit into a double play in the third, singled in the 6th. Two down, nobody on, and the pitch by Wilhelm, swing and a ground ball out of the shortstop side. 1 hop to Ronnie Hansen. There's the throw in the dirt. Dug up by Gentile. Nice pickup to retire the side. In the 8th inning, 3 up and 3 down. That's the Angel story, and with nothing across the score at the end of the first half of the 8th, the Angels 7, Baltimore 2. Now, for all you fans who like a little music between innings, here's a new hit tune for smokers.
They go together, the deep wheat filter and the deep cured blend. Viceroy's got it at both ends.
Yes, Viceroy's got it at both ends, and what a difference that makes. Used to be you had to choose between the filter cigarette with the filter you wanted, or the other kind with the right blend for taste. And, of course, you wanted both in one cigarette. And today you get it in Viceroy. Only Viceroy's got it at both ends, got the filter, got the blend. You get Viceroy's deep weed filter. That's the first of the modern filters. The perfect filter to go with Viceroy's rich, deep cured blend. And, man, how they go together. Try Viceroy.
They go together, the deep weed filter and the deep cured blend. Viceroy's got it at both ends.
An outfield change now for the Angels. Lou Johnson replaces Bob Cerv in left. So Johnson in left, Hunt in center, Albie Pearson in right. No change in the infield. Julio Becerra is at first. Aspromonte at second. Raquel at short. Eddie Yost at third. Del Rice works behind the plate. On the mound, Eli Gerba, who so far has given up 6 hits. 5 of them have been singles. The Giants have taken a 2-0 lead over the Pirates at the end of 1. Friend and Jones. Milwaukee 1, St. Louis nothing at the end of 7. Braves lead in the homer by Eddie Matthews in the 4th. Jim Gentile leads off, curveball by Gerba, and he really hollers in at Stevens as John says that was low and close for ball 1. Well, it's shown on the board as a strike. So we'll double check on it now. Fastball swung on, foul back on the screen. Big cut on that pitch by Gentile. Scoreboard indicates a 0-2 count. So unless we get show of a correction by Stevens, with Gerba now taking a look at the board. Gerba's still looking at it, and it may be he wonders about it. Now it is shown 1-1. That's the thing that had Gerba fooled and me fooled for a moment, was the fact that the scoreboard still has 2 strikes up there, and it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Here's the motion again. Eli let up on one, a swing at a very high fly ball, not going anywhere, out in right center field. Ken Hunt is there, moving in a bit to his left, makes the catch. So Gentile, 1 for 4 today. He is singled in the 2nd inning. Here's the catcher, Gus Triandos. Gus is fighting the big wind out here today. The terrific wind that has been ripping across from left to right. Flied out in the 2nd, flied out in the 3rd, and popped out in the 6th. Here's the pitch to Gus. Fastball by Gerba, letter high, but outside, and it's ball 1. The Angels lead 7-2. We're in the last half of the 8th inning. Gerba to the Rosenbag. Here's the pitch on the way. Another fastball swung on, driven out into left field. Lou Johnson in the track of this ball makes the catch. Hit it right at Johnson. Lou started in a step, then gave a step, made the catch. Now there are 2 gone in the 8th inning. Here's the shortstop, Ronnie Hansen. So, what a pitching performance by Gerba. 1 extra base hit. Double by Robinson in the 5th. The motion and the pitch. Big curve that he broke off low and outside for ball 1. And what a day for Kluszewski. 5 RBIs. That'll put him out in front in the American League in RBIs at the end of first big day of the season. There's a strike call offered to Ronnie Hansen, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Put him out of the lead in home runs, too, with a pair in this game. Here's the 1-1 delivery offered up by Gerba, and it's low outside, ball 2 to make it 2-1. Remember that Angel Report, scores and interviews with American League stars, follows every Angel broadcast, every game. We'll have quite a show for you today. Ball 2 and strike 1 with 2 out, none on. Ronnie Hansen, who has been checked in the infield today 3 times, waits now, and the 2-1 pitch to him. Swung out, here's a fly ball, got it out of the infield, driven well out toward left center. Lou Johnson there, also Kenny Hunt. Hunt makes the catch to retire the side. So another ball, well tagged, but fighting the wind. 3 up and 3 down, nothing across for the Orioles, and the score at the end of 8 innings of play. Score in the totals. Our Angels 7 runs, 6 hits and 3 errors. Baltimore 2 runs, 6 hits, no errors.
Take a clean, pure sound. Take a rich, mellow sound. They go together. Pure and rich. They go together like the deep weave filter and the deep cured blend in Viceroy cigarettes.
They go together, the deep weave filter and the Viceroy blend. Go together, they go together, Viceroy's got it at the bend.
Sure, some cigarettes tell you they've got the filter, others the blend, but Viceroy's got it at both ends. Got the deep weave filter and the deep cured blend. Deep weave filter, the perfect filter to go with Viceroy's deep cured blend.
They go together, the deep weed filter and the deep cured blend. Viceroy's got it at both ends.
Yes, sir. Viceroy's got it at both ends. Got the filter, got the blend. A great smoke. Get Viceroy. Minnesota came up with another run in the ninth inning, and they lead the Yankees 6-0. Here in the Angel half of the ninth, catcher Del Rice, the eighth man of the batting order, moves in there against right-hander Hoyt Wilhelm. Del has been up 3 times, walked in the second, flied out in the third, and sacrificed in the sixth. Six hits apiece for these two teams. There's the pitch by Wilhelm, high and outside, and it's ball 1. Wilhelm set again, and the next one right in there. Strike to make it 1-1. This oversized mitt is really something. In the pocket of this catcher's mitt, you can put about 4 or 5 baseballs. They made it that size just to be able to give the catcher some help down there. Swing and a foul. Off on the first base side, drops very quickly away from Jim Gentile. And it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. One and two. One of the new Baltimore coaches is Jim Busby. Of course, the veteran outfielder can be converted back to active player status almost immediately. Now the 2-strike offering to Del Rice popped out of the mitt of Triandas up high, and it's ball 2 and strike 2. The Baltimore infield today is the same that started last year's opener when the Orioles knocked over the old Washington Senators 3-2 before 32,747 fans. Pitch to Rice, swing, and a tap foul left side of the plate. And after their win in the opener, the Orioles then dropped 2 in a row to the Senators, and then they lost 3 straight to the Yankees in New York. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Del Rice up there and waiting, and the pitch outside at the knee, ball 3. 3-2. And 2 count on Del Rice. Eli Gerba will be up there next. The pitch swung out. There's a high foul up over our heads, up into the upper deck. Here at Memorial Stadium, too, they have a mezzanine section. Just a sort of a very brief third tier here that is right under the upper deck portion of the ballpark. I'd say it's only about, well, it contains about 5 or 6 rows of seats. Swinging a ground ball over the shortstop side. Easy hop for Hansen. Throw to first. Got him. So Del Rice goes out of there short to first. Ronnie Hansen to his left to pick that ball up, moving toward the bag at second. Coming out of the dugout now, Eli Gerba. Here's the hand for Eli. What a job he has done here on opening day. Richly deserved the applause that Gerba gets now as he walks up to the plate. Eli's been up there 3 times, reached on a fielder's choice and scored a run in the second inning, flied out in the 4th and sacrificed in the 6th. And the pitch low, outside, ball 1. Sun is out rather brightly now, and the shadow of the upper deck in left field creeps out across the outfield grass. Out in front of the left fielder, Gene Stevens. Swing and a foul tip to make it 1 ball and 1 strike. Snyder in right field, Jackie Brown in center, Gene Stevens in left, Robinson, Hansen, Breeding, Gentile. 3rd to 1st around the infield. Triandas on the receiving end, and Wilhelm, 5th pitcher, delivers and a swing and a ground ball. Shortstop side, nice backhand by Hansen, throws down to the dirt, skips up by Gentile. And what a fielding play. Ronnie Hansen, to begin with, deep in the hole at short, backhand of the ball, fired it down in the dirt out in front of Gentile, and Jim, with that tremendously long stretch of his, reached down, made the pickup of that ball, and that is out number 2. So in this game, you give credit where it is due, and it certainly applied there. Now there are 2 out. Here's third baseman Eddie Yost. Eddie popped out of the 1st inning, walked in the 2nd, struck out in the 4th, and again in the 6th. 2 down, 9th inning, and the pitch up high to Eddie for ball 1. All the Angels scoring came in the first 2 innings. 3 in the 1st, 4 in the second. The big gun, Kluszewski. And the pitch outside. Make it ball 2. 2-0. Pappas, the starter for the Orioles, went an inning and 2/3. He walked 4 men. Papa, the number 2 pitcher, went a third of an inning. Wes Stock worked 2 innings, and Billy Hepp went 3. Right down the middle for a strike to make it 2-1. Hepp was very effective. He worked 3 innings, allowing 1 hit, no runs. Struck out 3 and walked none. Wes Stock did a good job, too. Swinging a fly ball off the bat of Yost out of the left field. Shot him out there. Stevens coming on. The shortstop going out. And Ronnie Hansen makes the catch. Stevens threw it away. 3 up and 3 down in the 9th inning. So in the last 3 innings, the Angels have been retired in order. And with nothing across, score at the end of the first half of the 9th inning are Los Angeles Angels 7 and the Baltimore Orioles 2. You know, I used to get my signals crossed when I tried to pick a filter cigarette. I'd try one brand because it had the kind of filter I wanted, and then I'd smoke another because it had the right blend. But none of them were a hit with me until I discovered Viceroy. And what a difference it makes, because Viceroy's got it at both ends. That's right, at both ends. Got the filter, got the blend. Take Viceroy's deep weave filter, first of the modern filters. It actually weaves and reweaves the smoke for the smooth taste a filter smoker wants. Yes, it's the perfect filter for Viceroy's rich, deep-cured blend. When they go together, Viceroy's deep weave filter and deep-cured blend, smoke Viceroy, you'll see.
They go together, the deep weave filter and the deep-cured blend. Viceroy's got it at both ends.
Now the Baltimore half of the 9th inning. Gene Stevens, the left fielder, will lead off against Eli Gerba. The Cleveland Indians beat the Detroit Tigers today 9-5, and they opened up an 18-hit attack of the combination of 4 Tiger pitchers. The Yankees are batting in the 9th, and they're hurting. They've been shut out by Ramos all the way. Stevens, the batter, he has walked twice and had a base hit. And the pitch by Gerba put the fast one in there for a strike. Well, over 37,000 fans on a raw day in Baltimore have to see this one today. The windup by Gerba, and the curveball is swung on. Ground ball down to the shortstop side. Burkell scoops it up. There's the throw to first. He got him out, number 1. So Stevens goes out of there short to first. Coming up now, second baseman Marv Breeding. Here's the motion and the pitch. Fastball popped right in there for a strike. 0-1. Well, the slogan around here is it can be done in 61, but the object is that it can't be done today. That's what Gerba wants to see to now, the 9th inning. Here's a swing and a miss and an overpowering fastball. Gerba, the type of pitcher who just gets stronger as he goes along. He's blown in 2 fastballs here to Breeding, and quickly he has a 2-strike count on the Orioles second baseman. The wind kicks up quite a bit of dirt around the infield as Gerba prepares to pitch again. The 2-strike pitch, strike 3 call right in there. Breeding is called out on strikes. Now they're 2 out. We'll have a batter for the pitcher. The Giants have a 2-0 lead over the Pirates at the end of 2. This looks like Zupo. It is Zupo, the catchers of the Baltimore Ball Club. Frank Zupo, a native of San Francisco, and the pitch to the left-handed batting receiver. In too close for ball 1. He was with Stockton last year, hit .319, had 69 RBIs and 7 home runs. Left-handed batter, the next pitch, outside to make it 1-1. Frank, who was born in San Francisco in 1930, 5'11", 180 pounds. Papers, dust flying all over the infield now. This wind swirls around this giant horseshoe ballpark. 2 out here, nobody on, 9th inning. And the motion and the pitch by Gerba. Outside. So the count has gone 3-0 on Zupo. Here's the pitch by Gerba. Strike call. St. Louis Cardinals have come back to tie Milwaukee now, 1-1 at the end of 8. The motion and the pitch. High and outside to him, ball 4. Zupo gets on. So he is the first successful pinch hitter for the Orioles this afternoon. And then here in the 9th inning, he works Gerba for a base on balls. And here's the center fielder, Jackie Brandt. Jackie singled in the 1st, again in the 3rd, struck out in the 5th, and Gerba cut him down on strikes again in the 7th. Now they're 2 out, last time of the 9th inning. The Angels lead 7-2. So Gerba needs one more up there on the board. Stretch taken by Eli, and the pitch coming in, a swing and a miss. That's fastball again. And it's 0-1. Zupo, Z-U-P-O. He is a runner at first. And the next delivery. Brandt takes strike 2 call. Quick curve right at the knee. Work the outside edge of the plate. And it's 0-2. An 0-2 count. Right-handed hitter, Jackie Brandt. Zupo rid of his lead, and the next pitch, he just missed with it. Practically the entire Angel infield ready to come off the field. Burkell started to lead the charge from his spotted short, but it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 count. Many of the fans have already vacated the premises out here. Angels lead 7-2, 2 out. Here's the pitch on the way now, and it's strike 3 call. Jackie Brandt is called on his strikes. Here's Del Rice out, flips that ball to Eli Gerba. Gets handshakes all around from Yost, from Becker, from Aspromonte, from Burkell. Players coming off the bench now to shake hands with Eli Gerba. The winning pitcher this afternoon, a distance-going job, a complete game for Gerba. In the 9th inning, no runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 man left. So fans, the final score of our ball game this afternoon,
2 hours, 33 minutes.
in a 2-hour and 33-minute ball game, with the Angels leaving a total of 3 men on and Baltimore stranding 8. So for the Los Angeles Angels, the winner in this American League opener for 1961, here are the totals. The Angels 7 runs, 6 hits, 3 errors, and 3 men left. The losing Baltimore Orioles, 2 runs, 6 hits, no errors. They stranded a total of 8 men. 2 hours and 33 minutes to complete the game. Eli Gerba went all the way for the victory, and the losing pitcher, the starter for the Baltimore Orioles, Milt Pappas. Final score, the Angels 7, Baltimore 2. Los Angeles Angels baseball is brought to you by the top-selling coffee in the West. The one coffee that is mountain-grown for deep, pure flavor. And fans, when I say coffee, I mean Folgers. By Viceroy, the only cigarette with a famous deep weave filter and exclusive deep cured blend. Viceroy's got it at both ends, got the filter, got the blend. And by the brewers of light-hearted Falstaff. Light, refreshing Falstaff beer, coast to coast, America's choice for light-hearted living. Final score again, the Angels 7, Baltimore 2. Stay tuned now for exclusive post-game coverage on Angels Report following in 1 minute on the Golden West Radio Network.
KMPC Los Angeles.